Let's see, the Tetris kid. Um, oh, is this the one who hates Nintendo or whatever? Hang on, I think this is one that I wanted to see. Let me see here. Yeah, this is him. So this is okay, I have no idea who that is. This is okay, please play the fucking video, dude. Play the okay, now it's this lady. Never mind, it's this lady now, and I can't go back to the video that I okay. Hang on. Alright, so this is yeah, this is Black Cat Books Harman Smith, I think is his name. And he's talking about how Baldur's Gate 3 will come to Switch. I think he actually is a Nintendo fanboy. He doesn't hate Nintendo. He's a Nintendo fanboy. I think that's his thing. Big time Nintendo. I think he was the one who was really anti-emulation. He's probably really happy that Yuzu has to pay millions of dollars to Nintendo now. He hates emulation because Nintendo needs to be protected, God damn it! They're a small mom and pop company and they can't protect themselves. If Harman won't do it, no one else will. So I think that's this guy.
Baldur's Gate 3 will come to Nintendo Switch, and when it does, I am going to call it a bad game. Baldur's Gate 3 will come.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what? So this is Nintendo wins against Yuzu. Yeah, he hates Yuzu. Why would you literally ever use Sabaton, you fucking monster? I will shit on your dreams, sir. I don't even like them that much, but just even associating with the genre is a bother to me, sir. So, yeah, he loves that Nintendo is screwing over some people that made an emulator to preserve the games that Nintendo doesn't preserve properly. FF7 Rebirth fans are admitting that The Legend of Zelda... Oh, good. We're on topic, people. We're still on topic, everyone. This guy's gonna say that, oh, he's got a framed box. It's not even a poster or art. It's just the box for fucking Star Fox 64 framed on his wall. Jesus Christ. Is this the person who had the fucking Iwata basement picture with the GameCube on the floor with the milk crate and the rare sucks written on the cobblestone wall? I think this might be him.
Seeing now that a lot of people who are playing Final Fantasy VII are Rebirth on their brand new PlayStation 5s, the sort of people who want to play this game on cutting edge hardware, I'm seeing a lot of people come out and acknowledge the fact that, like, yeah,
Season 7? Man, I just feel sorry for people that have that voice. It's probably some of you in chat. In fact, I know there's some of you in chat. I've spoken to some of you in chat who have that voice. It's a shame. It's just a shame. You don't deserve that. Nobody does. But it's just funny that when you have that voice, you will not become like a football player. Just because you have that voice. I wonder if it's a nature versus nurture kind of thing. Like, are you born with that voice? Like, this kind of fucking nerd virgin voice? Or does that just become the voice that you get when you are this way? I don't know. But you never see somebody who looks like Samoa Joe who talks like this.
This game does not look or play
the DSP special.
Tears of the Kingdom. Now, there's a lot of people coping about that. There's a lot of people seething about that. There's a lot of people in denial about that fact. But the reality is that it is true. It's interesting to think, like, back on how this played out, right? How so many people, like, disparaged Tears of the Kingdom and tried to write it off, you know, bringing up, like, Twitch numbers and sales, like, so many people tried desperately to downplay Tears of the Kingdom when it first came out, right? You know, you still see people, like, saying that, like, oh, it didn't win Game of the Year, when in reality, it totally did, in the sense...
Oh my god, that's the biggest cope I've heard in a while. Shit. Alright, Tears of the Kingdom's a cool game. I liked it well enough. That's fine, and you could like it more than the other games, but just to to literally the gall to be out here like, no, it really did win though, actually. I mean, it didn't like literally win, but like, yeah, I mean, we all know who really won. It was obviously Tears of the Kingdom was the one that won, obviously. Not really, but like, it's the one that really won though, obviously. Wow, that's some cope right there. Shit. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Where it was like the most popular, influential title that released that year, right? It was
What? No, it
an
wasn't.
absolute banger.
Wait, no, it was. Influential? How? In what way? In what way? I mean, what was even influential about it? It was. No, I mean, what? It had the building mode. That was kind of cool. Some of the stuff you could build with it was neat, and like that's like it, really. I don't know what else was there that's like innovative. I don't know. I'm not trying to come at this as like I hate Tears of the Kingdom. I like that game, but I don't know, it's not super fucking innovative or anything. It's not like it's anything brand fucking new. It's mostly just a better Breath of the Wild, really. I mean, it's not like it's gonna, break a whole lot of fucking new ground in terms, like, Breath of the Wild changed everything for open world games, but Tears of the Kingdom didn't really do that. I don't know. Okay.
Right. It was
Meanwhile, Baldur's Gate 3 obviously did do that, so I mean, I don't in fact, what's funny, FF7 Rebirth, not really, but it kind of has a similar progression thing to the way Baldur's Gate does it, where it's like big open world map in chunks, and you finish one area and then proceed to the next area, except you can go back in Rebirth, and the chunks are considerably smaller. It didn't take me 50 hours to clear the first map in Rebirth. It only took me like 8 or 9 or 10 or something. Yeah, no, Baldur's Gate 3 was definitely the big game. Is he like trolling then, or is he just like this? What a shame. This is what I'm saying, people. What a shame. Imagine living your life being this way. That's the theme of this stream, I guess. Everybody that we're looking at today is just like this. It's just one of these people. Except for the inflation guy. He's weirdly unscathed in this whole situation.
Phenomenon. It was legit, like, an amazing experience of like Tears of the Kingdom. And a lot of people were in denial about that, continue to be in denial about that. But I think what's really going to like kind of establish Tears of the Kingdom as like a GOAT title, a greatest of all time title, it is going to be the fact, much like Breath of the Wild, that all of the other games that come out after it are not going to be as good. Right?
What? Okay, I'm very confused now. So Breath of the Wild, you mean in that year? I guess. Well, that's just not even true. I mean, that's completely baseless, but if he's talking about in the series, then that's also a problem, because this one came out after Breath of the Wild, and you're saying that one, I don't think that's what he means. I think he's meaning everything else in that year. In that case, you're also shit-talking Mario Odyssey that came out the same year as Breath of the Wild, but later. Well, I mean, I think most people would agree that Odyssey wasn't necessarily as innovative or whatever as Breath of the Wild was, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't know where you're coming from with that. Shit, this is just big-time Nintendo fanboy. Wow, yeah. This is quite something. This is just like, I mean, ultimately the answer is because he loves Nintendo and Nintendo does nothing wrong, I guess. Like, because I'm just over here like, okay, but what about this game that came out in 2017? Oh, but it wasn't Zelda. It wasn't Breath of the Wild, so I guess it wasn't as good? Oh, alright then. Alright, Nintendo man, sure. Sure.
Right. Just like how Cyberpunk...
Nintendo is never going to fucking pay your bills for you, dude. Nintendo's never going to When your mom dies, Nintendo is not going to pay the funeral fees, you know? Like, you know, I'm just saying you don't need to corporately... You don't need to brand yourself on the forehead with Nintendo's corporate logo, dude. It's cool. You can just be a human being.
2077 and Neo and Elden Ring couldn't compete with Breath of the Wild. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth cannot compete with Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is bigger. It has more content. It's more expansive. It has more interesting mechanics.
Well, I mean, bigger. Okay, but like the first. Okay, well, no, this is okay. I'm being overloaded with how dumb this is. So, but Tears of the Kingdom's bigger, maybe. I technically, I don't know. I haven't gotten to all. I don't think it is. I mean, fuck. I'm like 36 hours into Rebirth, and I think I'm maybe like a third of the way through the game or something. I've got 3 open worlds so far that I can explore, and they're all pretty big, and none of them are a reused one from 7 years ago or whatever, 5 years ago, which I don't mind because I love Kamurocho. So like that's the excuse I used with Tears of the Kingdom, was like, hey, it's great for Yakuza, and it turned out it was pretty good for Tears of the Kingdom too. I think it was a strength of that game, reusing the map. I thought that was a good thing. I liked that. But then they also had that whole Depths map that was just like kind of shit. It was really lame. The whole thing was just like the same. The whole place was the same. They didn't even have any different fucking colors in the Depths. It was all the same. It sucked. I mean, other than like going down there in specific spots and finding some treasure like the fucking Midna helmet or whatever. You know, that was cool. But actually exploring down there was awful. So, I mean, I don't know. If you're including that in terms of size, well, that's fucking stupid. I mean, maybe technically, but he's also saying it's more expansive and bigger and blah, blah, blah. And, like, I mean, just no. I mean, the only thing Tears of the Kingdom really brought to the table was that whole building thing. In terms of like new stuff, I mean, new mechanics or whatever, it's the building thing, which is pretty cool. But FF7, I mean, has like, again, like hundreds of fucking mini games. There's so many locations. They're all really detailed, really big, really, you know, I don't know. It's a lot. I don't know. It seems a lot more than just kind of just updating a map from 5 years ago, and then the worst part too, the Depths, it's not even just that they're bad and boring and hard to get around in because it's all dark and shitty, but like it's also just the fucking overworld map again, but like inverted or whatever. It's the same thing. It's really lazy. I don't know.
That was bigger. It has more content.
More content?
It's more expansive.
Well, I guess the shrines. I mean, it's like saying that like the blue sphere, red sphere, sphere everywhere game for the Genesis has that's the best game ever made, I guess, because it has like infinite fucking red sphere game that you can generate. You just put in a random seed and you can generate infinite blue sphere, red sphere game everywhere. Yellow spheres as well, and you can play that forever, infinite content. So I guess that's the best game ever. I don't know, man. The shrines get fucking boring after a while, dude.
It has more interesting mechanics. What is
well, I mean, okay, the building thing is probably individually more interesting than like a lot of the stuff in. One of the weird things about Rebirth, it'll have a lot of modes that are like vaguely different versions of a similar thing. There's like at least 3 different like shooting mini games where you're essentially just moving a cursor around the screen shooting at stuff. But each one has slightly different buttons and slightly different UI, and everything is like a little different. And like they're all slightly different. You know, so there's a lot of different shit. It's like a quantity over quality thing, I guess, with that. I mean, I like a lot of the mini games. I guess I do prefer something like Tears of the Kingdom where it has like a kind of wacky sandbox tool set thing that you can just make stuff with. I like that. I normally don't like crafting or whatever, but I'm into the build your own robot shit with Zelda. That was pretty neat. I do like that. Yeah.
Rebirth have? You know, the dolphin mini game. Like, come on.
Well, that's reductive, dude. There's like hundreds of fucking mini games. This is like a bunch. The dolphin mini game. There's a lot. There's like a lot, and sometimes there's so many that they're in your face. A lot of the time, there's mini games where you have to fucking. There's like a Rocket League soccer with Red 13. There's like a whole space shooting game where you're like blasting fuckers in space. And there's a 3D brawler that has the polygon models from the original. I don't know, there's a whole bunch. Most of that was just Gold Saucer, let alone random bespoke shit that just happens in like a level. You're just like in the middle of a dungeon sequence and there'll be like a new mini game that they bring out for just that part and it never comes back again. You know, like that kind of shit. I don't know, man. There's a lot of it. I mean, it's a preference thing, really. I don't even know why I'm arguing in this scenario. This guy's just like super into Nintendo. He literally has framed Mario pictures on his wall. I don't think this is like a sane, reasonable individual. This isn't like somebody who would ever listen to logic because their worldview is based around like loving this corporation that they have a fond childhood memory of.
Unbelievably, it is unbelievably poorly thought out how bad Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has been. And like I'm seeing a lot of people cope about that, like, this game is more
yeah, there is a Mario hat, and I think that is a trench coat. Yes, we can truly only hope that there's like a video somewhere or footage of him dressed in the Mario hat and the trench coat at the same time, you know? Like, I would pay a not insignificant amount of money to have him wear them both and maybe, like, do a little... Just do, like, a little... I don't know, he doesn't need to dance, but just do, like, a little groove, you know, like, shake his arms a little, move his hips around a little, maybe spin around for us, just do, like, a little, like, fighting game idle pose or something, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I want. I would pay him like $100 to see that happen in the Mario hat and the trench coat. If that's maybe it's a leather jacket, even still, maybe I'd pay like $75 for that. But you know,
popular than Final Fantasy 16. That's only because of nostalgia, right? It has nothing to do with the quality of.
What about nostalgia, sir? With the Mario, with the framed Star Fox 64 cover on your wall. Tell me about nostalgia, sir.
About that, like,
seems like you're an expert on that. It seems like you're the hexpert, Mark.
This game is more popular than Final Fantasy 16. That's only because of nostalgia, right? It has nothing to do.
We're talking about Final Fantasy 16 now. What the fuck? Keep on target here, buddy. It's weird that he's even talking about Rebirth, actually. It's weird, because I guess it's the one that just came out, but Rebirth came out, like, fucking 8 months or more after Zelda. I mean, Zelda was, like, closer to a year ago than anything. Zelda was a fucking while ago. And Zelda came out in, like, the same month or something that Final Fantasy 16 came out, so it's... Why are you not just talking about Final Fantasy 16, frankly? Well, I guess that's because that's not the one that just came out. I think he might be looking for attention. I mean, he might be just trolling, I guess.
With the quality of the Rebirth games. Like, Final Fantasy VII is doing well because it's Final Fantasy VII. And the people who grew up with...
Oh, Rorschach 13, I'm excited to talk about your super chat there. I have some opinions about that. You're not entirely wrong, but I have some opinions about that. But we'll get to that in a time. There will be a time and a place for that. Thank you.
Final Fantasy VII are just worshipping Final Fantasy Rebirth. Like, oh man, I get nothing to do with the quality of the Rebirth games. Like, Final Fantasy VII is doing well because it's Final Fantasy VII, and the people who grew up
Okay, and Zelda does well because it's Zelda. Every Nintendo thing does well because it's Nintendo. Corporate products are popular. It's, you know what's weird? You know what's extremely bizarre is that Final Fantasy VII is one of the, like, Rebirth especially, and Remake too, probably. I don't remember it as well, but definitely sticks out to me in Rebirth. Really, really solid, like, for what it is too. It's not like a Disco Elysium type of game. It's not super down to earth or whatever, but for like the type of game it is, really solid thematic discussion about like corporate rule. For what, I mean, that's another thing. It actually has a story with like elements going on that are a little more than just Ganondorf kidnapped the princess or whatever again. And that's not really what happened. She like turned into a dragon or something. I don't know. It's a better story in Tears of the Kingdom than it has been, but it's also not that good because it's like pointlessly the cutscenes are scattered non-linearly around the fucking map, and like they really shouldn't be. They should just be unlocked in order of fucking whichever one is in the next one in sequence, but you can like just accidentally get the last one first and spoil the whole fucking linear plot for yourself that is otherwise linear. Like the story is point to point to point, but it's just unlocked in weird out of order sequence for no reason. So yeah, Zelda's got a better plot than a lot of Zelda games have had. More depth, more like politics and moving parts and stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I was just gonna say though, it's funny that one of the better like discussion, like one of the better games that I've played that's all about how evil giant corporations are if you let them just get super powerful without, you know, questioning them or, you know, whatever. It's coming from Square Enix, a company who is still trying to push NFTs in 2024, and among other things are just generally evil. It's great. They are basically Shinra. They're basically Shinra with less power. If they had it within their ability to do so, they would be Shinra. They would bleed the planet dry of all of its resources and create giant robots to fight anybody that says otherwise, that tries to stop them. They would super be Shinra. And so they're putting out this weird corporate disinfo game about how we should super rise up against the corporation, man. Yeah, I'm sure that's just what they want you to think. God damn it, we're all caught within the machine.
Up with Final Fantasy VII are just worshipping Final Fantasy Rebirth. Like, oh man, I get to see Aeris and Tifa wearing bikinis. Oh, I've never seen a girl in a bikini before because I played on PlayStation and not N64. You know, the
Wait, what? Were there bikini girls on the N64? What N64 game had? Never mind. I had one of my favorite games, California Speed, for the N64. It had really low quality PNG or GIFs, I guess, because they would like dance around of like race girls with flags or whatever, and they would be in bikinis. So yeah, no, the PS1 couldn't handle that, baby. Really low quality 90s 2-frame GIFs. That was the power of the N64. Nothing could compare.
The average N64 owner had like girls in bikinis over to
Yeah, he's dead naming Aerith. I can't believe it.
play Mario Party and Mario Kart all the time. But
he's making a joke about PlayStation people were virgins, I guess.
PlayStation owners sat alone in their basements. Like,
okay, so the I guess there's a funny joke to be... Here's the thing, there's a funny joke to be made there, because, yeah, N64 had a good number of, like, multiplayer games. I mean, so did the PlayStation. But the PlayStation was more known for its single-player stuff, so that's kind of what he's getting at, is that the people that like PlayStation games are, like, alone in their basement. But he's talking about another game that's a single-player game that's Nintendo. And he's also alone in his sad basement right now. Maybe it's not a basement, but it's sad, whatever it is. It doesn't make it less of a sad basement just because it's an upper floor or something, dude. Like,
you know, pretending that Aeris loved them. right? Like Eris totally loved Cloud, aka me in another universe. Like that was that was like the average PlayStation owner, right?
Right,
Uh,
right.
and those people are adults now in their 40s and
And
still
meanwhile, the Nintendo adults are just worshiping Rosalina.
lusting after Tifa, still lusting after Eris,
I mean, have you looked at the porn?
still worshiping Final Fantasy VII, even though the rest of the industry has moved
You're worshiping Zelda, sir. How do people exist like this?
on, right?
How do people just exist in this lack of self-awareness when they're just super pot calling the kettle black, pointing the fucking finger at anybody but themselves?
After
Wow.
Ocarina of Time, we got Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Some of the best games ever made. What has Final Fantasy got? 8, one of the worst games in the series.
Oh, now he's doing the cherry picking thing. Yeah, dude, I know. The CDI Zelda games are so great. I know. Aren't the CDI Zelda games just awesome? Don't the Game & Watch Zelda games fill you with joy? Doesn't Spirit Tracks just make you want to come everywhere, dude? I know. Triforce Heroes for the 3DS. It's a great game. Zelda 2? Really awesome. Really awesome. I mean, I guess to be fair, Final Fantasy has probably had more missteps in the main series, but I think it's also had more games in the main series. So I mean, like, yeah, you can complain about 8. 8's not even that bad. The story's bad, but like, I don't know, the gameplay's fun. It's still a fun RPG game. It's like fun, dungeons and stuff. Side content's pretty swinging in that one. Music's great. Just the story's fucking stupid, which is in its own way funny. So I mean,
9, something that people don't appreciate because it looks like a Miyazaki film. 10,
why is that a problem? What? I don't understand why that's. Yeah, he was about to walk on very very unsafe ground for him. Talking about 9. Because I was ready to bring the whole fucking hammer of justice upon him if he said some shit, but instead he has a very confusing point that it's underappreciated. Well, I agree. I mean, I do agree. That's rare Harman Smith W. I guess I would agree with that.
like one of the most linear games, like RPGs of the period. 11 on.
He's complaining about. So he starts with. So he's going through like every Final Fantasy from 7 on, I guess, and just complaining about them now. Even the ones that have no reason to complain about them, like 9. Or ones like 10 that have plenty of reasons to complain, but he complains about the wrong things. That game being linear isn't the problem. The problem with it is the story and the fact that even if you ignore the story, the fucking combat is like 20 hours of the same fight over and over again, like you're too stupid to figure out to use Waka to throw the ball at the flying enemy. Like, I get it, it's a really simple combat system that they spend like 30 hours teaching you, like you're too fucking stupid. Like, you'll never figure out that you use fucking Lulu to throw fire at the fucking magic enemy. You'd never know that. You just wouldn't be able to know that. You wouldn't. So every fight for 30 hours has to be the same thing. Over and over again. While the story is also the worst thing you've ever experienced. The music's okay, though. So it's fine. All's fine, because the music's okay. No, man, 10's got problems. It's not the fact that it's linear that it's got problems.
Online? Like, no.
He's complaining that 11 is online.
Like, there was a very notable real decline in Final Fantasy games, but nobody wanted to admit it, right? And right now,
Whoa, yeah, you kind of stopped before the decline. The real decline was 13. Let's be real. I mean, I'm somewhat of a 13 defender. I think it's unfairly maligned. I don't think it's that bad, but it's pretty bad. So it's not that good. It's not that good either. Like that one and 12 to an extent. I mean, 12's such a weird mixed bag. 12 is such a weird fucking mixed bag of a game, where it has like some of my favorite dialogue in the series, but it also has a plot that's so boring that I just gave up. It's just so dull. It's just so. Oh, now we're going to another location to get another thing. Wow. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh boy. And yet it's actually got like intrigue and stuff, but like it's paced so badly and the game itself is really boring and lame and what a shame 12 is. It's like half of it is really great.
In this position where Final Fantasy VII is so venerated and so worshipped by the
12's got the best dialogue in the whole series. It's got dialogue. It's like what they tried to do with 16, but they made it too obvious that they wanted to be Game of Thrones in FF16. 12 is like that if it was turned back a notch or two, and it was just like its own a fantasy thing that stands on its own without feeling like it's the Witcher Game of Thrones knockoff a little bit, which is the problem with 16. 12 is like that. 12 stood out so much when 10 before it and 13 after it both had like really horrible, awkward, stilted Japanese translation scenes where they just did not direct the actors correctly. 12 meanwhile had like dialogue that was, you know, it was like Shakespearean fucking it was some real tight fucking dialogue scenes. Boring as hell, though. Unfortunate.
Kind of people who don't play RPGs, they can't look.
Okay. This guy hates Final Fantasy. What else are his opinions? What other opinions does he have? N64 had more games than the PlayStation 3. You might be right about that. I don't know. No one talked about Pal World during the Pokemon Presents. What? Okay. Unicorn Overlord. Okay, so his whole life is just Nintendo game was better than other game that's kind of similar to it. Is there a new tactical strategy RPG? It's not as good as Fire Emblem. Is there a new open world game? It's not as good as Zelda. I guess that's his whole life, and also emulators are bad. I guess, and he has so many videos too. I guess he probably hates. Okay, I bet he hates all fighting games because, like, Nintendo doesn't really have a fighting game, and because fighting game people are not great to Smash people. Fighting game people historically do not care for Smash people, so he's probably, like, really defensive and salty about that. So he's like, he probably hates fighting game people. And you simultaneously also think Smash is the best fighting game ever and should be in EVO and should be more valid than Street Fighter. I think Smash is a fighting game, but I can also already kind of tell what type of person this is. I might be wrong. My life is harder than yours. This is okay. So he is trolling. He's trolling. I guess he's trying to be funny or trying to be edgy or something. Both woke and anti-woke communities worship Final Fantasy VII while condemning Nintendo's Xenoblade. Why is he talking about Review Tech USA? Who the fuck gives a shit about review? 10 years of Gamergate. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
How could this happen to me?
I can't deal with more fucking Gamergate, dude. God damn it. Let's click on it anyway.
As we're hoping.
What's your cool opinions about Gamergate, man? Tell me all about it. Please tell me all about it. It never ends. It will just never end. This will never end because I want more. More. Give me more. Give me more.
And on the 10-year anniversary of Gamergate, I really wanted to come out and say the grifters.
What do you mean 10-year anniversary, cuckbag? This was from 9 days ago. The 10-year anniversary. Is he talking about, like, Zoe Quinn and Wizard Chan? I think that might have been, like, February of 2014. But it was, like, August. It was, like, late August. It was latter half of August when the Zoe post came out. Get your fucking time frame right, dipshit.
Okay, Ethan Ralph, Shoe on Head, Medicare, Mundane Matt, like all of these people. I
will never escape.
Who spearheaded the movie.
You know, there's the song by Fever Ray that I just quoted, but the alternative reference is "This Will Never End." I have thought that this will never end. Only the fool in me believes there is sense in it.
Who were like gung-ho on Gamergate didn't know anything. They completely dropped the ball. They failed. They completely...
But he knows a lot about Gamergate. He doesn't know when it started other than, I guess, the year, but he knows a lot about Gamergate. Okay.
Really refuse to address any of the real problems when it comes to gaming, when it comes to gamer culture, when it comes to gaming media. And they made it about something that it really wasn't, about politics, about feminism, about, the people who are running the gaming sites and not the companies themselves.
What? The unexpected strange take. Alert. Yeah, I guess ultimately a problem was the companies, but no, I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? A lot of it was about the journalism. Most of it was, I mean, say what you will about haha ethics and journalism, whatever, but like, it did ultimately start after years of people being annoyed by Kotaku writing articles about games that was just like vaguely trying to like bait political outrage about like a new release. That was like what like new Battlefield game came out. Let me complain about how it's homophobic because someone said they'd push my shit in the chat and I interpreted it as a homophobic slur or something, a dog whistle. And so Battlefield 3 is homophobic. Hot new headline on Kotaku. So it was like that for years. And then eventually that was like the fucking Zoe post was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was about journalism. Don't let this fucking weirdo tell... What the fuck is this... What is this disinfo campaign you're running here? What is this shit? What are you trying to correct the record? What the fuck?
I have been very vocal about this for a long time.
No, you're right. Alan Sampson's right. What we need here... We don't need him to talk about that. What we need is... I reckon we can get Donald Trump to tweet about Gamergate. And really that would solve a lot of our problems here that we're global warming... The 15-minute cities, Trump himself, even. A lot of these problems would be solved if Trump could just tweet about Gamergate. I reckon we can get it to happen.
Out about this. It's a major reason why I started this. In video games.
What the fuck just happened? He just, like, his audio just broke and then unfucked for, like, a 0.5 of a micro cunt hair. And then now he's back to, like, scummy skibbity audio again.
Trying to address, like...
His audio sucks. It was, like, a little bit okay. It was a little better for a moment. What the fuck happened?
The issues...
He had to censor himself.
And what it all comes down to, really, is everybody is only interested in making money, right? They're not interested in talking about fun games. They're not interested in talking about epic fails from major established franchises. Everybody just wants to circle jerk around, getting hyped for the next big thing, regardless of whether or not it's going to be any good, right?
And you're talking about the journalism element of this right now? I thought you said journalism wasn't what this is all about. I thought you said that we should be complaining more about like the companies. People were also complaining about the companies. That was like a year or two after V unanimously fucking... I want to say they rigged the poll. I don't know. I forget what site it was. It was some big website did a poll that was for the worst company in America. I think it was like Forbes. And I think V like rigged the poll. And so instead of Bank of America, and that was like during Occupy and everything... It was EA that won, and I think they won the next year, too. So, like, people were mad at the companies. I don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. People were also mad at big companies, too.
Over and over and over and over again. And that's true for both sides of the political aisle, right? Gamergate was not a political issue, fundamentally. The issue with Gamergate was that enough people began to notice that video game journalists were being completely unreliable. Their coverage of video...
Yeah, it only took us, like, fucking 30 years of gaming journalism being absolutely terrible. That's the one thing I will say, like, I do feel really stupid in the start of like. There's a lot of stupidity surrounding Gamergate, but like, man, just the youth and youthful ignorance that I must have had. Just like, you mean gaming journalism is a fucking crock? I didn't know. And then now it's like you look back on any gaming magazine from the 80s or 90s, and basically they're like not even really trying to hide it. They'll have like the fucking cover will be Lara Croft and then just glowing 10 out of 10 reviews. Like, it's like super sponsored by whatever. You know, a lot of the times they will just be like completely bought and paid for by Nintendo or whatever company. They've been doing that forever, and it's been a lot worse. It's probably been a lot worse. It just took that one lady fucking a whole bunch of fucking dudes for people to finally realize that there's some problems in gaming journalism. It took a long time. It took a very long time.
Games that generation really left a lot to be desired. They were openly advocating for bad video games. You know, stuff like The Last of Us, stuff like Killzone Shadowfall, stuff like The Order 1886. You know, all of these major PlayStation and Xbox releases.
Oh, he's making it a Nintendo fanboy thing. I see. Oh. Gamergate happened because they were promoting Sony games. Right. Of course not Xbox. Xbox doesn't have games, but Sony games. They were promoting Sony games. And so that's why they got woke. Right. Nintendo games are good. They're based and they don't have ugly woman or gayness or talk of or color. So, you know, they need to talk more about Nintendo games and less about. Okay, but that was also like 2014, 2015. That was the height of the era where Nintendo didn't have jack shit to discuss. What the fuck were they going to... Guys, Pikmin Ziplash or whatever. It's coming out. It's going to be great. It's going to be so great.
You know, these were the people that were openly defending Destiny, right? You know, the absolute scum of the earth.
All of the day, bro.
And over the past decade, you know, in spite of the major shill campaign for Bungie, you know, trying to damage control the product, trying to tell us that like, oh, the game is good, guys. You're just not giving it a fair shot. You just had your expectations set way too high. You know, over a decade of that.
Why are we talking about Destiny?
And people are beginning to realize that like, oh yeah, Bungie's going bankrupt. You know, they bungled.
This is insane. This is insanity.
Their deal with that.
This is a great. I'm so glad I found this specific video. He doesn't even, unless he specifically mentions the, because I do believe that it was like February when there was a previous thing with Zoe Quinn in 2014, before Gamergate and largely unrelated to it. Zoe Quinn came up as like a point of contention because she was messing with the proto-incels, who I think were more harmless than the incels that we know them as now, but the incels who were just kind of depressing sad sacks and not really loathsome cunts like we know them now. I think. They might not be. They might have been a little more problematic. But she was fucking with some people on Wizard Chan, and that was like 2014 in like February, unless he specifies that that's what he's talking about, because this was like February 29th or something this video came out, something like that, unless he specifies that, and I don't even know if it was that time. I mean, he's saying that this is like the anniversary of Gamergate. No, that would have been like August. I mean, even if you mentioned that, that's just like I know that, haha, look at me, look at my knowledge, I know about that, if he brings that up. Otherwise, that's me who sounds like that right now. Because that's not even really relevant to this, so I don't know why he's saying it's the anniversary in fucking February. So yeah, he's unaware apparently of when this shit started. He doesn't seem to know what it's about. He's trying to twist it into being a Nintendo fanboy thing. This is a really good video.
Activision, they bungled being independent, they sold out to Sony, and now they are in the process of being shut down. You know, years and years of damage control for this company and for what?
Imagine being at computers, so fat you look and see food.
You know, everybody just moved on to the next company. You know, they moved on to CD Projekt
Don't Dead open inside.
Red, or tried to, right? They put out The Witcher 3, you know, the game that somehow won Game of the Year 2 times in a row, right? 2-time Game of the Year award winner, get Witcher 3. You know, it was supposed to be this hallmark of video game design. It was
What the fuck is he talking about? Yeah, that's the other thing that makes this video great. He's trying to talk about Gamergate, but he keeps fucking going off topic, like Destiny, Witcher 3. What?
supposed to be the next big thing.
You're just talking about every game that came out in the last decade? What the fuck are you talking about, cunt?
Supposed to like lead CD Projekt Red into being the biggest name in video games, and what happened? They put out Cyberpunk 2077, a complete disaster that completely failed in every way, shape, and form. And it had nothing to do with the glitches, right? Everybody always says like, "Oh, if you play on a powerful enough gaming PC."
What the fuck does the 2020 release of Cyberpunk 2077, maybe 2019, I don't remember, have to do with the 2014 occurrence of a lady banging a bunch of people for good press on her shitty game where you have depression? Another good pause frame here. He's like in the middle of a really tense struggle of a shit. It's gonna come out. God damn it.
The game is perfectly...
Might be next week he gets the rest of it, but it's coming out.
Fine, but in reality, the game was completely broken at launch. It has nothing to do with the game itself, like with the glitches and the bugs. Like, the game is just not very fun to play, right?
Because it's
Nobody
not on
wants
the
to
Nintendo.
acknowledge that, right? You know, over the past several years, we've just seen people bend over backwards, like refusing to acknowledge all the very real problems with the Western video game space, while aggressively downplaying the
Well, that's not... Okay.
superior Nintendo developers.
The superior Nintendo developers. Well, that's fucking stupid, dog. I mean, like, not even just the fact that your obvious weirdo bias is... You must be trolling, right? I mean, like, I think he is. I think to an extent he might be. But, like, no, I mean, I was gonna say, like... I don't know, he's talking about, like, Sony, and then he mentions shit like Last of Us and Cyberpunk and Destiny, all these Western games. And then he's complaining about how, blah, 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 the superior Nintendo develop... As if Nintendo's the only Japanese game company, I guess? As if Sony doesn't have any people. Sony, the Japanese media conglomerate, doesn't have any companies involved with them who are Japanese, like, Square Enix or Capcom or anything like that. There were a lot of games that were coming out at that point in time that were Japanese, that were getting shit on by American publications because they were not feminist enough. They were too revealing clothing on the women, yada yada yada. That whole fucking 2010s feminism tango. A lot of games were coming out back then that were Japanese that had that sort of thing going on, as I recall, and they weren't by Nintendo, obviously. So, like, what the fuck? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Right. Whereas, like, every other Japanese developer, like, doubled down on becoming more and more westernized, like becoming terrible. Square Enix, Capcom.
Ah, I see. So everybody but Nintendo is bad, is just what I'm getting out of this. It's amazing that we clicked on this video that's about Gamergate, and it's somehow still just about how everybody but Nintendo is bad. Your brain is not working, sir. Nintendo does not love you. You need to understand that this is not a mutual relationship. Nintendo does not love you and will never love you. Nintendo absolutely loathes you and hates you, and Jesus Christ, this is depressing. There's people like this. This is sad. This is sad. I hope you're trolling. I really hope you're trolling. Like, for your benefit, for your sake, I hope this guy's trolling.
Sega, all these companies, like, just making all their IPs, ruining them, it had nothing to do with political issues, right? It had everything to do with companies not understanding what made their games fun, refusing to evolve and just trying to chase that elusive Call of Duty audience.
No, what? What? This is a video about Gamergate. He's somehow taken what Gamergate was and turned it into get Nintendo good. Every other company bad and Western and bad. Nintendo good. How did you do that? How did you do that?
That elusive modern audience. And yeah,
brain rot.
Gamers, quote unquote, the Gamergaters, like they couldn't bring themselves to admit that their precious PlayStation, their precious Xbox, their precious gaming PCs, that they were all heavily entwined with this situation, right? The narrative has always been.
So this is like the cope of a Nintendo guy whose consoles are never powerful enough to play the big new game. So it's like while the other companies are doing things that are PS5 level, you know, the Nintendo Switch with the console with the graphics from like 2014 or whatever. What is it? It's like a mobile graphics chip from it's like 2015 or some shit like that. It's pretty old. Not really able to fucking compete with the more modern thing. Nintendo's never really been able to compete. The Wii U, weirdly enough, was their best attempt at that, and it did not go over so well. I mean, I don't know. He's talking a lot about games that came out after Gamergate as if that's a reason why Gamergate happened. The Nintendo products that were out at that time were the Wii U and the early days of the 3DS. Not good. Neither of those were good outings. Neither of those were really good, very good showings for Nintendo. Both of those were pretty bad. At that point, anyway, the 3DS got better, but not early on. I mean, even by 2013 or whatever. No, okay, by that point, it was like a little better. Okay, the 3DS was fine. But like the Wii U, not so fine. Not so much fine. Not so fun. Not so much with the fine. So, you know, I guess instead of, I don't know what that even had to do with that, though. I mean, she's just turned, this is incomprehensible. How he managed to turn Gamergate into something about Nintendo and what?
That Valve is based. They would never do anything.
This is fucking
wrong.
insane.
Xbox is based. PlayStation is based. They just want to make money. It's only a handful of woke infiltrators that are ruining everything for anyone. Oh, the ethics board. Hey, genius. The ethics board wasn't responsible for the release of the original version of Final Fantasy XIV. Right? You know,
what are you talking about, you insane psychopath? I've been watching the channel Harmful Opinions lately, and he frequently uses the word demented. And I have to say, this is demented. This is absolute brainworms. This is insane. Like, you're either trolling. If you're trolling, it's really good work, because this is some real mental gymnastics to make the connection between Gamergate and a bunch of video games that came out after Gamergate. And like even just Nintendo, even at that point in time, trying to make a comparison as if that was relevant. It really wasn't. Nintendo... Shit, what did Nintendo have anything to do with Gamergate? Like, anything? Not really. I mean... not really. The gaming journalists really didn't talk badly that much about Nintendo. I mean, not really. I mean, other than when they deserved it because the Wii U was bad. I'm trying to think of in any way that Nintendo was relevant during that era. Like, I remember Iwata died, and then there was a fake tweet that I thought was real. That was Anita Sarkeesian saying some fucking inciting shit. You know, some stupid dumb shit, but it was a fake tweet. And that's the closest thing I can think of. But that wasn't even during it. That was like during the aftermath of Gamergate, like late 2015 or something. So no, I don't even think Nintendo was related to that at all. This is absolutely demented.
ethics board wasn't
Or
responsible
trolling.
for Final Fantasy VII R. It wasn't responsible for Kingdom Hearts 3. It wasn't responsible.
Final Fantasy VII R? You mean Remake Part 1? Okay, this is the exact type of person that hates Remake Part 1. Really loving the face here on the shirt, by the way. Really loving the face on the one shirt we've seen him wear so far, mind you. From videos from several days apart also. It's like a week or two apart, he's wearing the same shirt. I don't know if he changed between those videos, but
for Final Fantasy 15 or like anything that Square Enix has done. Like, you know, like the ethics board had nothing to do with the actual problems.
What is he talking? So he must have like watched a video about Gamergate or something. I'm very confused. Because he's talking about the ethics board? What does that mean? Like the ethics, like a 4chan board or 8chan, or does he mean like the board, like an HR department that watches out for ethical violations at Square Enix or something? Is that what he's talking about? The ethic? That's not even what people meant when they were talking about, like, ethics in game journalism. Obviously, because that was not even game journalism. He's talking about just a bunch of shit. Especially, like, FF7 Remake that came out, what, like 7 years after Gamergate?
At Square Enix. And that is exactly my problem, is that this, like, woke controversy, you know, the complaining about feminists, like, it was just a smokescreen to distract you from the real problems. You know, the reality that there is no reason for platforms other than Nintendo.
Oh my god. Woke arguments are a distraction from the Nintendo goal that is the real goal. Focus. Loyalty to the brand. Loyalty to Disney. To Nintendo. Loyalty to Disney. Everything that is not blind loyalty to Nintendo is a distraction from the loyalty to Nintendo. I guess that's true. You're not wrong. I mean, that's not wrong.
To ever exist.
Technically.
Right? It's always been a bad thing for the industry. They have been introducing toxic developers into the space. They've been introducing like bad business practices and throwing millions of dollars into things.
This is such, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, like, but there's no way it's trolling. This guy, to imagine that this is trolling, right? We have to assume that this guy is, okay, so it's trolling. So he's got a room in his house that he's willing to dedicate to pretending to be a fake Nintendo shill and having, like, framed photos of Nintendo shit. I don't know, that's dedication, man. I mean, for me to assume that every fucking rando weirdo on the internet that I see is trolling, and when they have dedication like that, no, I think it's much easier to assume that this guy just has fucking terrible opinions. And that's what's happening here. I think it's reasonable to assume that this is just an insane corporate fucking drone. A bootlicker for Nintendo. Because he's talking about bad corporate practices, and I'm like, okay, you mean like how Nintendo started making microtransaction phone games? And fucking, you know, shit like that? You mean like every Pokemon game that comes out? You mean like that? You mean like all the bad... those kinds of bad decisions? Things like that, right. But those are fine, because it's Nintendo. Right. Gotcha. Absolutely.
That don't sell, right?
Rolling and trolling.
Worse and worse over the past several decades. Like, you know, a decade ago, we had Gamergate, and, you know, 10 years later, you know, considering we fixed absolutely nothing with the gaming space, they went ahead and put out Suicide Squad, right? Now, to a lot of people, this seems like...
Yeah, you know, Gamergate happened... And because the campaign to stop having fucking every Kotaku article about a new game be them complaining that there's too much tits in the main character or whatever, you know, 10 years later they made Sewer Squad, and that's why ethically, it was Gamergate's fault, I guess. I don't even know what his point is. Like, he's jumped around so much, and he's rearranged what actually happened in Gamergate and what it was about so much that I don't even know what his fucking point is or what he's getting at.
Oh, it's an out-of-nowhere thing. Oh, I'm going to blame the new leadership at Rocksteady. I'm going to blame Warner Brothers. I'm going to blame, like, woke culture. But in reality, Arkham was never good. You know, like, enough about the whole, like, oh, Gotham Knights was the end of 3. No, like, Arkham Knight was bad. You know, Arkham City was bad. You know?
Oh my god, every game that isn't... Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be trolling, right? But it's not trolling, though, because it's not, because he's got all this framed shit. It is, I mean, it is at that point, like, I'm sorry, at that point you've dedicated your house to being a fake troll, man. You are a penis. I don't care that you think you're being... If you're trolling, I don't care that you think you're... I guess it's good trolling, but, like, you are the joke now. You are a strange man who's dedicated your life to being a weirdo with terrible opinions, in that case. So, like, it's a Phil Marillion type of situation if he is trolling. I mean, I guess it's impressive, but, man, we have to just assume, I mean, there's a lot of people that are just crazy and have terrible opinions, right? So why can't he be one of them? Why can't he be one of them, right? I mean, like, I guess he might just believe this stuff. I guess.
So Arkham Asylum was just kind of okay, right? Like, it wasn't a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but people pretended it was. People pretended like it was.
Shouldn't you like Arkham Asylum? Because now he's phasing between dimensions. Oh man, in rage, like it's his butt mad has caused him to ass blast himself into another anal hemisphere. I'm surprised he's not more of a fan of Arkham Asylum, considering it's basically a Metroid game. That game's pretty cool. It's a shame about literally all of the boss fights. It's a shame about literally every boss fight. But other than that, it's a pretty cool game. But no, they're all bad. I will say, I mean, the first one was the best. Like, City is fine, but I don't know. It's hard for me to look at any open world game in a series and be like, yeah, that was the best one, if there's one that was, like, linear and maybe was better. Because it's like, I don't know, man. I like Arkham City, but, like, I guess I just prefer a game that's got some focus. I like a lot of open world games, but I prefer a game that's got a little more focus, you know. I mean, I guess. I still like open world games, but it's like FF7 Rebirth is a really good example of an open world game because it's still got the focus. You're still moving through a linear narrative that progresses you through the world, but it's just also taking place in an open world. It's very nice. It's very nice. Anyways.
Some masterpiece.
Anyways, the rearranged jumble Gamergate remake version of events where it's not quite the same as what happened in Gamergate, but the plot ghosts have rearranged events slightly so that I guess Sargon went insane before Ralph did. Wait, that is what happened. Never mind.
Just because it had Batman in it. Just because it was
you love shit just because it has Mario in it.
A shovelware product wrapped in, like, a license that they recognize.
Shovelware product.
It's like, oh man, Batman is coming to the PS3. Like, we have to.
Like, this is because, like, I've never seen degrees of cope like this. I mean, I guess I have. It's just like, it brings us back to the beginning of the stream, really. It brings us back to the beginning of the stream with those people that I was saying, like, this is a screen, this review of FF7 Rebirth reads like something I would have written 14 years ago on V. Just buzzword heavy, soulless, rehash, cash grab, shitty casualized product for modern Call of Duty waggling audiences. You know, shit like that. And this is that, basically. This is that. It just comes back to that. It's just 100 fucking V buzzwords. This is a human V shitpost. It's just a Nintendrone from V, I guess. I mean, he has to be a V user. He has to be. He has to be someone that just goes on there. I guess this is the guy who just shits on every game that isn't from Nintendo on there, I guess. Yeah. All right, that makes a lot of sense. That would make a lot of sense. This is the reason why I don't use V anymore. Right. This is just the example of like an absolute fucking moron, I guess, who just is on there just shitting it up with nonsense just constantly and making it like unusable. Right.
Have to defend this game. Let's ignore the fact that there are so many better beat 'em up games out there. It's Batman. You get to be Batman. You get to hear Kevin Conroy's voice. Ooh, Mark Hamill is playing the Joker. I bet that final boss is going to be the greatest of all time. Like,
yeah, like the Mario Sunshine final boss, or I don't know, like the fucking Twilight Princess final boss. Why are we talking about the final boss? I like how he keeps talking about cool parts of the Batman games and just kind of waving his hands around in a mocking tone while he does it so that they don't sound good. Oh, you got established fucking award-winning actor Mark Hamill. Oh, it's got the entire voice cast of the old cartoon that everyone loves. Oh, it's a really faithful representation of Batman in a way that video games have never done before. Oh, la-di-da.
People were legit talking like that. They had no regard for the fact that there were better games out there. They had no regard for like the competition.
Wow, speaking of fucking buzzwords, somebody says typical seething anti-woke alt-right Nintendo boy seething and malding. That's a good... These are all such good pause frames, by the way. This guy's the pause frame. This guy might be the pause frame king. Because I'm good at pausing him, but he's... Yeah, it's a two-way street. Every time I pause, there's like another really funny fucking pause frame from him.
Regard for like just how dumb it all was to begin with. Real gamers were looking at Batman Arkham Asylum right from the get-go and telling you all that like that game looks like trash. Just complete nonsense, right? That game looks bad.
Real gamers.
Bad man.
No true gamesman.
Suppose we could call it now.
Bad man.
So, and you refuse to listen, right? You refuse to acknowledge that the combat was simplistic.
I called it Batman because it's like the Batman, but with the bad, and you mix the bad with the Batman, and you get the thing with the hyphen and the glaven.
The stealth wasn't all that great, and the boss fights were abominably bad.
And the boss fights are bad, not even glaven.
The writing was subpar, somehow falling below a 20-year-old children's cartoon, right? Like, that's how bad it was, right? But
what do you mean below a children? What? Yeah, because the children's cartoon had better boss fights, I guess. Sure, okay, fine. Well, by that token, every Zelda game has worse plot than the 20-year-old children's cartoon also. I guess, because that one actually had a story instead of just a bunch of go save a princess and collect some things. Yeah, yabba da dooba da blah blah whatever. Fucking there's some forest fairies and go fuck yourself. Fish people. I don't know, whatever. The world's fucking like flooded, whatever. I don't know, man. Zelda's such a sad series for me. The guy loves Zelda, and I'm like, I like the games, but like, God. I just wish that one of them would stop being afraid to tell a real fucking story. I don't know what the fuck the deal is with this series. They're like so fucking terrified of like having a Zelda game that's like the dreaded M word. It's modern. Like, I don't know, they've got voice acting now. It's an open world. It's like, but it's still just terrified of being like a normal fucking game with a real narrative. Link can't speak. Just can't let Link have a fucking voice. That's not allowed. And oh my god, you'd fucking break the whole society if Link had a character and said words. That would just ruin... How would you be able to tell a story if your protagonist had a personality? That's unrealistic, unbelievable. Zelda could never recover from that. No. There's no way. There's no way. There's just no way Zelda could recover from a plot that has more things going on than, like, a MacGuffin hunt and go save the lady. There's just no way. I can't, like, it wouldn't feel like a Zelda game. You couldn't do that. No, it's bad. That would be too modern. Too AAA.
No, like,
Awful.
Arkham was the greatest thing ever because you know, the people who play Arkham don't play video games, right? And the issue has persisted, you know. Like
The worst thing about somebody says Link is me. How insensitive! Here's the thing: you play like a Persona game, and you have the silent protagonist, and that already bothers me because okay, it's an RPG. Shouldn't my character have some personality? I don't know. I guess you self-insert, right? That's what it is. But even then, you have dialogue boxes you can fucking pick. You can make your character a little more, a little more skibbity if you want to. You can make him a little more sassy, whatever. Zelda doesn't even fucking have that. You just name him Link or whatever, name him Twink, whatever you want to name him. And then he just doesn't have any personality. They try to give him some, but they can't because they refuse to let the fucking series do anything new. Except when they God, there's this just they will let Zelda do new things, but they're very, very careful. Very careful. They just do it. They'll do a whole new game to introduce one new fucking thing. Basically, that's the way Zelda feels sometimes. It's like, oh my god, we can move the camera now. It's a new Zelda game. I can't believe it. That's not accurate. That's not really the way it is. But still, I don't know. Zelda has a growth problem. Zelda needs to grow up to appeal to more audiences. I'm sorry, it needs to get woke.
I'm seeing a lot of people coming out defending Suicide Squad the same way that they defended
They said it correctly this time.
Arkham. You know, the only people complaining about this game are people who are woke, who hate woke stuff. You know, let's ignore the actual problem.
Who's saying that? I mean, it's like everybody hates. What? Who? Wait, Arkham Knights? You mean No, that was Gotham Knights, right? It was called. Because there was a TV show called Gotham Knights, wasn't there? It was called Gotham Knights. So he's talking about the good Arkham games. He's putting that in the same breath as the Suicide Squad one, which is very bad, as if people needed to defend those ones. They didn't. Those are all beloved games, except by people with legitimate opinions that don't maybe like them, and weirdos like you, I guess, also.
Let's ignore the reality of the situation. You know,
then Suicide Squad is bad.
Let's ignore all the problems that Suicide Squad has.
What the fuck does this have to do with Gamergate?
Let's just try to pretend that the people who are
Let's ignore all the problems that this game that came out a decade later had to do with the hashtag Gamergate that happened in 2014. Really, where was Suicide Squad game from 2024 when the Twin Towers came down? Honestly, I want to know if they were on the flight. I want to know if Suicide Squad game 2024 and its sequel, potential sequel that might not get made now because the game was a flop. I want to know if they were on the manifest. Were they responsible for the Hindenburg? I don't know.
That your game isn't great, are somehow toxic or out of touch, right? Let's pretend that these people don't know what they're talking about, right? That is Gamergate. In its purest essence, is developers, these creators, the people
Skibbity Squad
behind these games justifying their bad creative decisions by attacking the fan base. You would like it if you actually gave it a shot. Even though you obviously...
This is a glorious video. This is a video that has almost nothing to do with Gamergate. And then every time he brings up Gamergate, he got, every detail about it wrong, I guess. Even the date that it started, he says it was he must just mean the year. It's technically been 10 years, 10 calendar years since Gamergate. But, he said, the anniversary, as if some day in February was when it fucking started, when it kind of maybe did, if you want to be... That might have been... I think that was more March. I think that the Wizard Chan thing seems like it happened in March, I think. But, no, everything he says about Gamergate is wrong, or intentionally, or maybe unintentionally, but, accidentally, misconstrued in order to fucking defend Nintendo, I guess. And then most of the video isn't even about Gamergate. It's just about games that happened in the last, like, 2 or 3 years. Or the last month. This is absurd what this video is. What the fuck?
Obviously wouldn't.
Why do you even title it with Gamergate? What the fuck are you talking about, cunt?
Even though we have standards, right? And
Oh yeah, no, the Gamergate video just got at least 10 minutes longer. Like, at least 10 minutes longer. Because this factors in with, I guess, the segment about how people have gone on to remember Gamergate. I'm going to have to spend some time, at least a little bit of time, talking. It won't be 10 minutes, but I have to at least bring up. Some people have turned Gamergate into whatever the fuck this guy did for his own personal gain. Like, even in 2024, 10 years later almost, fucking people are still trying to twist this fucking hashtag campaign into, like, a bizarre thing to advance their own weird fucking personal thing that they really, the chip on their shoulder has decided that Gamergate is the fucking key. If we can get Trump to tweet about Gamergate, then fucking people will start playing Zelda again. Oh my god.
that's not what people tried to pretend it was about. You know,
Let it die
to pretend it was about politics, and that in and of itself like destroyed the entire thing. Right now, it destroyed.
Oh, I know. I thank you, chat member. I saw the video from Tim earlier about Sweet Baby or whatever, her fucking GDC thing, where she basically just talks, the CEO of Sweet Baby basically just talks about, this is like a diversity company that like this is basically the company that's the reason why a bunch of scenes in Spider-Man 2 force me to stop looking at my phone and instead, like, well, no, that's not fair. It's not even like an inconvenience. It's just a little strange whenever the deaf character shows up, and it's very clear that they hired a company like that to make. It doesn't feel natural, like there just happens to be a deaf character. It definitely feels like it's there for the purposes that it's there for. Let's just put it that way. And I guess they were involved in that. I didn't know that, but I guess they were also involved in Suicide Squad. I'm not aware of that, but the woman that like runs the company, I guess she has this whole thing. Well, I guess there's people involved from the Gamergate era. I wasn't even aware of that, but she has this whole GDC talk where she's like essentially saying how she needs more games to have people that look like her, which is like, okay, right, as a person of color or whatever, you want that, sure, but there's just some really weird stuff that's like, I made a character in a game and he talked to a black character and my character was black and they both talked about stuff that wasn't about watermelon and like crime, and so I was like, I had to call all my friends and tell them about how great it was that there were black people that weren't talking about crime in a video game. I needed to call all of my friends and tell them that, and they all clapped and did the Neon Genesis Evangelion thing and went, congratulations, that's so nifty and cool, congratulations. And a lot of it just kind of comes down to her just seeming to want to have herself be present in video games. Literally just, I want to see more characters that are me. I really want more characters that are me in video games. I want all my friends to see characters that look like me and think about me. And then when characters that aren't me are in the room, all the characters should be thinking, where's the characters that look like me? That's what they should be thinking. That's what a lot of that came across as. Yeah, and they've been getting in hot water lately. That's a whole other Gamergate relevant thing that's kind of funny too. I guess I just thought I'd bring that up since that's been apparently happening, and yeah, I watched that video today, and boy, it's pretty funny. It's
Gamergate.
Pretty funny.
But it evolved.
This is like a new favorite video. I mean, I don't know about favorite, but I really like this video in the same way that I really like a lot of videos that I think are terrible and I think are very poorly of. I really like this video. This has brought me a lot of joy. This video that's incomprehensibly unrelated to the thing that it's about. And when it's about that thing, it's wrong. It's great. This is a wonderful video.
Into something else, like the anti-woke movement, I would say today has a lot of roots in Gamergate, right?
This is my
Gamergate
liked
didn't really
video.
It evolved into its next form, right? It evolved to the next level. People are like, talking back to their teachers. People are like learning about corrupt politicians. They're learning about like, the agenda. They're learning about like how this woke stuff like.
I can't even discern what this guy. I'm gonna be real. I'm trying to figure out what this guy's politics are. Like, he seems to be kind of centrist, I guess, anti-woke, anti-woke. Right in the middle, I guess. I think his politics are Nintendo. Like, I really think his politics are just Nintendo. I think whatever happens in the world that's not a Nintendo thing is a distraction from Nintendo to him. Israel-Palestine? Fuck it. Not Nintendo related. I don't care.
Affects their everyday lives and how it's a way bigger deal than just video games. Gamergate was a major cultural milestone, but it absolutely was.
We're going real late tonight, by the way. I mean, I'm still going. I want to watch more of this guy's videos. I think I might dedicate more of the stream, like maybe the rest of the stream, to this guy, because this guy's really great. I want to watch more of his really cool opinions about things. I really like his opinions about things. I just really value his opinions and his viewpoint on things. It's very important to me that I get that information. But I think we'll keep going. I want to see some more from him.
Held back by idiots like Internet Aristocrat. It was held back by people like Mundane Matt, by Dame Pesos, by, these people, Ethan Ralph. These people absolutely had it in them, I think, to kind of lead the charge against corruption in video game journalism, but they...
I thought the journalism wasn't the problem, though. I thought journalism wasn't the problem. Like, he basically swept Gamergate under the rug earlier, essentially, like, whatever it was actually about. Or even what they claimed it was about, and you could argue, it wasn't really about ethics, it was about feminism, blah, blah, blah. But, like, no, the whole claim of it's, and, I mean, it's what it was about, like, the journalism angle. It was about the fucking bizarre Kotaku articles that were just terrible hit pieces and shit. And he just took that and was like, no, that was never what it was about. Actually, what it was about was companies that weren't Nintendo making games that weren't Zelda and Mario. And so now, I mean, like, he just brings back journalism again, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm right, the thing Gamergate's actually about, right, ethics and game journalism or whatever, right.
They completely dropped the ball. They failed. And now you see, like...
It is a bit of a meme to suggest that that's what Gamergate was about. It isn't... It wouldn't be fair to pretend that Gamergate was not also kind of about... It was pretty quickly hijacked by some people with alternative agendas. Let's put it that way. It was some people that saw that there were some people upset with an agenda that was happening, and they decided, you know what? I bet we can opportunize on this and make them like our agenda. And they were successful with some people. They were pretty successful at that.
Their modern equivalents, people
it's
like
a grift.
Worski, people like PPP, these fat fucking
PPP
retards,
strips you
right?
empty.
They're just sitting there trying to like, Gamergate was cringe. Oh, I would never do anything like that. They say as they sit in their like 6-hour live stream.
Well, Mundane Matt is gonna trigger the libs and own the libs. That's the only way to, yeah.
Making fun of people that like nobody has ever heard of or cares about. Yeah, you're not as bad as Gamergate. You're worse. You're worse than Gamergate. You are everything wrong with the Gamergate community, right? The more I think about it, like...
Are you part of the Gamergate? We're at the end of the video. I don't even know what his stance is on Gamergate. I believe any question I have can just be answered by Nintendo. What's his stance on Gamergate? Nintendo. What's his sexual orientation? Nintendo. Blood type? Nintendo. Favorite food? Nintendo. Just every answer can just be Nintendo.
I become more and more impressed with the people who manage to come out of Gamergate, being much more influential and people who are more neutral, but ended up doing a lot more good for the community, right? People like Jontron, people like Kite Tails, people like
Kite Tails?
Razor Fist, right? All of those people like did
Oh yeah, Razor Fist. Did he do much for the community? What community? What community are you even a fucking part of? I don't know.
A lot more to kind of like talk about the real issues, talk about the corruption of video game journalism, talk about wider topics, talk about like whatever, while still retaining their love and interest for video games. And I do think that is the root of the problem. Even now,
What problem? Which problem? Which problem that doesn't exist that you made up? Which problem is the root of the problem? Which problem? Which problem are you talking about? Is it one of the ones that's real or one of the ones that you made up? Keeping in mind that a lot of the ones that are real are also not all that real. I mean, they're like real. They're real. They exist in a way that maybe some of the problems he's talking about aren't really existing. They aren't major problems. A lot of this. We're talking about Gamergate here. It's not exactly a fucking. Oh my god! It's the Gamergate Civil War, everybody! Batten down your women. The gamers are coming. That's not really. It's not all that high stakes. But like, what the fuck though?
don't believe that the major personalities behind Gamergate actually care about video games. Even now, I don't believe that. And that was a major issue regarding this controversy from the very beginning.
From the very beginning in 2024 when Suicide Squad came out, and then Gamergate happened 10 years out before that, and right from the beginning, it's been a problem. So I can see what he's getting at. Definitely see what he's getting at here. So there's somebody named Shitposting Adjacent Stalker, who his response here on the video is 10 years of Nintendo being a garbage company, and so is the underpowered 30 FPS Switch, with 4 joy laughing emojis. And then there's one here, quote unquote Gamergate, because people aren't blindly simping for Nintendo. There are many good games not made by Nintendo, and there are many good games made by Nintendo. Why can't you just accept that people may like games outside of Nintendo, and this doesn't make them fake gamers? Okay, so it's just somebody trying to speak truth to power, I guess. Let me see here. We gotta watch his take on emulation. Remember, emulators are bad, people. Preserving games that Nintendo won't preserve themselves is bad. Upgrading games on day one to play them at a better resolution with mods in a way that you can't on the console is bad, even though it's possible and is better objectively, is an objectively better way to play these games. It's funny, actually, like we're about to see this guy defend fight against emulation, defend Nintendo for suing an emulator company or whatever. It's funny because the only way, there's a game that was announced recently. It was a Switch game. It's coming to other consoles soon. It's called Shin Megami Tensei 5. What's funny is the only way that game was playable before it got announced for other consoles, and now it's going to be coming to PC and PS5 and stuff. The only way that game was fucking playable was on an emulator, still is at this point, on an emulator with several mods to increase the frame rate, increase the draw distance, make it so that enemies are not popping in 5 feet in front of you on the world map. Basically make the game like a modern video game and not a Nintendo 64 game. And, a pretty cool game other than all of those technical problems. And now that it's not going to be on the Switch, it doesn't need mods anymore. It's funny how that works out. I want to point out, by the way, I don't dislike Nintendo. I mean, I like Nintendo some of the time. I liked Mario Wonder. It was pretty good. I'm looking forward to that Peach game. I'm probably going to emulate the fucking, probably going to emulate the Mario and Donkey Kong game. This guy must be getting a lot of money from his mommy. That's my guess, because like and it's not just because he's like a fat Nintendrone or whatever, but he's got the cool guy leather jacket in this video, by the way, too. But like, Nintendo games are really expensive, and like, for him to not emulate them, I mean, to be able to emulate a fucking newly released game because it came out on the Switch is beautiful. Like, oh, hey, there's a new game that just came out. It's also released day one on Switch, so you can just play it, and you don't have to... It's great. I mean, allegedly, I would never do that. I would never do that. That would be so immoral, and I would not do that. It's so wrong. It's so wrong to play a game released by a big developer that's definitely going to be a success and doesn't need my extra sale, and is already basically slated. It's so wrong for me to play a new Sonic game day one without paying for it. Because, like, they're probably never going to make another Sonic game unless I buy a copy of it, right? So, you know, I mean, I love the Switch. For that reason alone, I love the Switch, right? But, you know, emulation is also pretty cool, and most people are on the side of the emulators and the emulation community. Let's see what this guy's opinions are. Maybe he'll change our minds.
It's over. Nintendo has won.
So yeah,
The Yuzu emulator has been taken.
Nintendo sued the people that were making... I guess they sued them. I don't know, ceased and whatever they did. Some legal shit. They took down... They took down one of the big Switch emulators, as if that's gonna fucking stop anybody. I mean, we can still use it. You know, I guess we can't get updates now, but like even still, it's like open source. I don't know what they think this is. I guess it sets a fucking precedent or whatever, but people are still... Nintendo doesn't understand how the internet works because they're a weird, ancient, conservative boomer corporation that can't get with the times. They can't update any of their fucking series to be like a modern video game. If they had their way, they would still be using fucking friend codes. They don't understand how the internet works and the fact that this fucking open source software is just going to still be updated by other people, most likely. I mean, I don't know the terms of everything that happened, but yeah, that's basically what's going on. Some kind of $4 million lawsuit or something. And yeah, this is going to be one of the few people that's on Nintendo's side, allegedly. Allegedly, because he might just be a fucking shill. He might just be... I mean, he might be paid by Nintendo, hypothetically. I don't think so. That's what I mean by shill. He might be, however, just a troll. Is actually what I meant to say, but then I said shill instead, and I thought, and it came to my mind, like, yeah, maybe he is actually paid by Nintendo. He might be a paid corporate disinfo shill. I guess that's possible, but they're doing a really bad job of it if that's the case. So I mean, like, probably not that. I'm willing to believe someone just has really bad opinions. Let's watch.
Taken out. Citra along with it. The developers will not be allowed.
Wait, Citra's also gone? Wait, so you can't even... Yeah, see, that's the problem that I really have right now. Okay, so, alright, so here's the thing, right? So I can see, like, all jokes aside, I you know, allegedly is all around. I like to be able to play my Switch games, you know, for free, you know. I like that, and I think that's a fun thing that you can allegedly do that I would never do. However, I can definitely see why a company would have an issue with that being a thing you can do. I'm not even going to really argue with Nintendo doing that. Like, I can see why some people might look at this scenario and be like, oh, so people can just play a Nintendo game day one? Like, and it's not... And Zelda leaked, like, 2 weeks early, and people were able to play that early. I finished Zelda, allegedly. Hypothetically, I could have finished Zelda before it actually released. Well, technically I didn't. I never actually finished it because hypothetically the emulator might have kept crashing, hypothetically, if I had done that, which is why you shouldn't emulate, people. But, yeah, no, I can see why that would be a problem. However, the Citra emulator is the one for the 3DS, the system which they have recently fucking discontinued a lot of their... Like, eShop is dead on Citra. The eShop is dead. So you can't download a lot of shit. So a lot of the shit on the 3DS, yeah, you're going to want emulators to preserve that, because Nintendo will not preserve that. Especially the 3DS, a console that was like a two-screen thing. There's a lot of games that are never going to be ported to another platform. A lot of, like, inconsequential shit like eShop games, random brain teaser puzzle word finder games or whatever, but still software people made and worked on that should be preserved. And I guess Nintendo obviously doesn't care about that. I didn't even realize Citra also got hit. The 3DS is defunct. They aren't making 3DS software anymore. And they've shut down a bunch of the servers for the 3DS. So the fact that they take down the Switch emulator, alright, that makes a little more sense. Fine. I'm not going to argue with that to some extent. I mean, do I like it? No. But the fucking 3DS emulator? No, fuck that. Fuck that.
To continue developing
Fuck off.
Nintendo Switch emulation software. They are finished. And with them are the PC Master Race. The people who would openly go on 4chan or you.
Oh, I knew it. I knew he was a fucking V. I knew he was a fucking V person. I knew it. I knew it. He's so V. He's so... This is like what I was 14 years ago. I really hope he finds his way out of the darkness eventually. It's not even like, oh, 4chan's evil. It's just like, man, being this cynical and bitter and upset. I was this way about Nintendo back then, funnily enough. I remember a specific post that I wrote about New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS when that came out. And how soulless and generic rip-off, cash grab, all the shit people said about FF7 Rebirth. Except you can actually say that about that game because it's like the third New Super Mario game that looks, and they all look the same, and they all have the same. The only thing in that game was there was a bunch of coins. You could collect a bunch of coins. That was its exclusive gimmick, was there were coins. There were more coins in that game than there were in most Mario games. So that was its gimmick, was there were, rather than the other New Super Mario games that had a normal Mario number of coins, NSMB 2 had a whole bunch of coins. And I just remember making a post that was like the way he is here, but about Nintendo being like, this is fucking garbage, you people need to learn, you stupid fucking Nintendo baby Nintendrones need to wake up and learn this cash grab rehash garbage that they make. It's fucking trash. Just every buzzword in the book. Except the difference was I was right.
YouTube or X or whatever and brag about playing games early. Right? We saw this.
Yeah, well, that sounds like a fucking skill issue. Oh, that's a good pause frame. But that sounds like a skill issue on Nintendo's part. Shouldn't have let their game leak. Shouldn't have let me hypothetically play it early. You know? Shouldn't have had a console that requires people... that, like, really strongly makes a lot of people feel, boy, I wish I could play this game in a reasonable, good resolution and frame rate. You know, shouldn't have made a console like that, I guess. Skill issue. Shouldn't have made a console that made me... That literally made me not buy Shin Megami Tensei 5. Because I was like, boy, I really like this game. I want to play more of it. But I sure as hell don't want to play it on a Switch where I can't play it with a better frame rate and, like, draw distance and, you know, various enhancements like that, resolution and stuff. I didn't buy that game because it's on the Switch. I specifically did not buy it because it's on the Switch. So, like, yeah, skill issue on Nintendo's part. They should have made a better console.
As recently as with Unicorn Overlord. The last time I went on 4chan ever, it was about...
Oh yeah, he's a cum shroom, totally.
About how they were playing Unicorn Overlord early. You know, I know people in the community, Joe from Seattle, who was openly taking sponsorships from Atlas while planning on emulating the game on PC.
I'm gonna have to play this Unicorn Overlord game because it's not Fire Emblem and I have a weird resistance to playing Fire Emblem. Even though it's like similar, I guess. I don't know. It's Atlas and I like Atlas games recently, so I'm into that. I was really liking Awakening. Fire Emblem Awakening. I was really enjoying that, but for whatever fucking reason, I just I just can't get into it. So this guy wants... That's an interesting thing, actually. Fire Emblem Awakening. That was the 3DS one that was really popular. Actually, speaking of Atlas, speaking of SMT5, another 3DS game. Oh my god. Oh god, we want to talk about fucking Citra? Oh, now I get to rant. Okay, I've talked before about Shin Megami Tensei 4 and how that game's fucking annoying. That game's combat is just poorly made. It's just poorly designed. In the beginning, it's way too difficult, and then by the end game, it's way too easy. The difficulty curve is inverted in that game. And in the beginning, it's so punishing, it's just fucking stupid. You will get into fights that you actually can't win because you just walked into them and the enemy got lucky and they party wipe your whole fucking team and there's nothing you can do. Like, actually, before you can do any moves or act at all, the enemy just gets, like, super lucky moves and party wipes you completely. It's full of shit. And so the way that they combat that in SMT4 is by letting you save literally just everywhere. Every step of the way, at every moment in the game, you can save. So they want you to just save scum everywhere, basically. And so eventually I got to a point where I was like, fuck this, and I just transferred my save file to Citra, where I could actually save scum with a save states feature. Because it's like the game already has save states. I didn't use them mid-battle. I just, like, save stated where I would have done a normal save in-game anyway. But it saved me, like, a fucking 30, 40-second process of, like, thumbing over to the save menu and, like, you know, waiting for that to happen. It just made it, like, super easy. So that's one example. But fucking, he's talking about the 3DS. I mentioned Fire Emblem Awakening. That's an example of a game, and so's SMT4. Games that you probably don't really want to play on a 3DS. I mean, like, yeah, they're designed for the handheld, and they've got some 3D functionality, and that's kind of cool. And I like the 3D on that system, but like, those are really big, storied, extensive games with a lot of content. I really don't want to spend all my time fucking playing them on this tiny little handheld. At least with the Switch, you can play it on a, you know, docked, like a normal console. That's fine. But, like, on a tiny, stupid fucking handheld, yeah, I would prefer to emulate them. How are you gonna argue against Citra? How are you gonna argue against letting me play a game like Fire Emblem Awakening not hunched over a stupid fucking 3DS? I don't want that. That's a terrible experience. That's a terrible experience. If you can play it in a better way, I don't understand why you wouldn't.
Unicorn Overlord, of course, it did not get an official release on PC. So he would have to emulate the Switch version. And most likely, he was intending on pirating it. A game that he took money to ship.
Someone in chat is in here defending the smirking thing. No, you're just wrong. I'm sorry. I know you're super cool and your dick is really big because you didn't die more than, like, twice to the Minotaur or whatever. Maybe you got him on the first try. I don't care. It's a bad mechanic. It's just stupid. It's just a stupid fucking... Oh, oops, sorry, bad luck. You fucking walked into a battle with enemies you should easily be able to fucking defeat, but they got lucky. The quote-unquote lucky, aka the game just decided you lose. Like, no. The NPCs in the digital video game where the computer makes the rules got lucky. Okay. Like, no, fuck that. That's bullshit. It's one thing if the player gets lucky and it's actually in your advantage. But when it's literally just like the computer decided to make the game unfair. I remember playing it and getting to points where I'm like, oh, okay, so the game just decided I should turn it off. That was what the smirking thing was you get into a fight and the game just turns itself off for you. That's what it was. You can't win the fight, you just get bodied in one turn. The game just turns itself off for you. Fuck off. That's such a terrible fucking mechanic. It's awful. Awful. Play it with fucking save states.
Emulation, you know.
It's the only way to make that game fucking tolerable. And it's sad, because outside of that, it's a phenomenal game. It's just a shame that the combat is fucking horrible in that game.
Citra was
So he's getting into 3DS here. He's getting into my thing here that I'm complaining about. Yuzu, I get it. Fine. You want to take down the emulator that's allowing people to play the Zelda game before it comes out. Fine. All right. I don't like it, but you got him. Sure, I get it. Fine. Not even going to complain. Citra, though, is the 3DS one for all of the older software that's, like, outdated and being taken down. And games that I'm mentioning now, like these that you don't really want to play on a stupid tiny rinky-dink handheld. You want them on a big screen. And he's about to make a case for how this is bad, how this is a bad technology, and how Nintendo should really take that down because it's really hurting their brand by letting people play a game from literally a decade ago, like SMT4, or I think also Fire Emblem Awakening came out in 2014. Literally a decade ago. It's really harming Nintendo by me playing a game that's not sold anywhere on an emulator like Citra. Please tell me all about that, please, sir.
Facto 3DS emulator. It was the most relevant. I believe it was the most successful. It was the one that I think kind of spearheaded the whole 3DS piracy scene. But now that it's gone, people are going to have...
Well, it's not gone, dude. I mean, like, it basically is fucking compatible with, like, most games, I'm pretty sure, so it's not gone. People are gonna... I mean, anything that's worth playing on the 3DS, anyway, at least that, most shit is preserved. Like, there might be some obscure Japanese fucking golf game that's not, you know, been localized, that doesn't play properly, but most of it's been preserved, you know? I think it still works, so it's just like a weird symbolic I mean, yeah, there could be more updates, sure, but fuck.
Trouble finding another emulator that runs as well, right? You know, this older platform, the 3DS, this legacy platform,
Right.
is no longer going to be supported by the Yuzu developers.
And he's going to act like this is a good thing somehow. This is the type of fucker that would rally against the Internet Archive. By the way, once again, shoutouts to the Internet Archive. As I've been playing the Yakuza games, playing through those again. I'm like halfway through 2 at this point, PS2 version of 2. God, there's a video that called it Yakuza 1 but good. It really is. It is. It's just, what if we made Yakuza 1 but spent an extra week working on it and made the camera not bad? And there we go. Boom, it's better. It's a good game. So I've been interested in watching Yakuza films. You know, like The Dead or Alive by Takashi Miike, that trilogy with Alano, his actor from... Was it Riki Takeuchi, I think, from Zero? I've been wanting to watch that. Once again, Internet Archive with the fucking clutch. They just have a whole category of fucking Yakuza movies you can download. It's got all the Zatoichi films. It's got, like, a bunch of, like Boiling Point and Outrage. It's got all this shit. Last month, I was super into Windows XP shit, and archive.org was helping me out there. And this month, now it's Yakuza movies. Hypothetically, I haven't watched any yet, but they're all on the list. I bookmarked it, goddammit. It's there. Shoutouts to the archive. But this is the type of fucking person that would be, like, rallying against the archive because it's got a Nintendo game on there, and you can't do that.
Right. What happened? You know? Like, I thought that Nintendo didn't have a case. I was assured by YouTube lawyers, right? The Twitter legal team, that nothing Yuzu did was wrong.
Twitter understands the legal system.
That Nintendo was filing a frivolous lawsuit, that emulation was completely legal.
This is what, in the dictionary, when you look up the term useful idiot, which wouldn't be in the dictionary because it's a term and not a word, but this is what would show up next to that term. Useful idiot. Or also, bootlicker. Because it's like, yeah, what Yuzu's doing is not illegal. Really. It isn't. They're making an emulator for a software that's not illegal. There's been a lot of precedent to prove that it's not illegal. This is actually a really harmful fucking thing that Nintendo's doing. Overall. This is restricting fucking freedoms that people have, for one thing, but I mean, also, it isn't illegal and shouldn't be, and so the fact that they've found some kind of weird loophole to get around that is something that everybody should be concerned about. Except for this fucking guy, because he loves Nintendo, and Nintendo loves him, and Nintendo's gonna sleep with him, and Nintendo's gonna jerk him off and make him come, and Rosalina and Peach are gonna share the cum, and they're gonna say that it tastes really good, and then they're gonna compliment his Mario hat and say that he looks really good in leather, and that's how it's gonna go down. That's why he loves Nintendo so much, and I can see why. Like, that's an understandable reason, honestly.
Right? And yet, somehow, in the last
Nintendo is his Discord kitten, yes.
Nintendo has completely taken out the company. They've taken out their business. They've taken out their Patreon. Like, you can't even download Yuzu and Citra anymore off of their website. It's all been taken down. It's over, right?
It's over, except for all the people that already have it downloaded, and the fact that they're both open source, and a lot of people still have support for it, and probably most of the people that worked on it are still going to probably work on it in secret to some extent. I mean, I would assume, if not, other people will. It's not over by a long shot. I don't know why, like, oh yeah, the emulation community is just gonna stop now. You're right, dude. No, you're right. It's definitely over. Everybody learned their lesson. They're done. They're just done now. You're right. It's done. It's Jover.
The reality of the situation is
it's
far
so over
different than the emulation shills want you to believe, right? Yuzu, we're getting games up and running early, right? By breaking into Nintendo servers, right? Breaking encryption,
I don't think that's
getting
true.
past like the DRM, right? The anti-piracy measures.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would assume something has to give if Nintendo was able to, like, successfully sue them. This is going back on, like, you know, Bleem, so the whole Sega, Sony fucking, there was an emulator for the Dreamcast that would just let you play, like, PlayStation games also on PC, on the Dreamcast and PC. And I think Sony tried to take them to court, and they, like, failed, but they also bankrupted the company in the process. And there's been a bunch of other attempts at the same sort of thing. So I would assume that something different had to have happened here. Maybe he's right about this, but I don't really take his word for it for obvious reasons.
Doing all of this stuff to ensure that emulation was successful, right? To appeal to a certain demographic of people, to appeal to pirates, right? Because if you take away the early...
Yeah, somebody says this is a settlement, not a one case. I guess it might not even, it might just be the thing where they pressure you and then you have to comply, basically. Woo! Yay, Nintendo! Wahoo! Bing, bing, wahoo! Yeah. It might be the thing where they legally don't actually have a case, but they just threaten you until you're ruined and you have to give in. And you're still ruined. Remember that time they stole that guy, half of that guy's income for the rest of his life? Sorry, 30%. It was just a modest 30% for the rest of his life. Yeah. Because he decided to, like, what was it? He ran a website that had some stuff on it or something. I don't know. Something immoral and criminal and wrong.
Excess. If you take away the whole getting games for free thing, if you take away, like, all of that, the reality is emulation is not superior to...
Yeah, did he claim that there was emulation shills? Is that true? There's people... Who's paying for emulation to be shilled? Is it Richard Stallman? God damn it.
The original.
Hang on, say that again. Say that again, sir, please.
The reality is emulation is not superior to the original hardware.
You're gonna have to qualify that one, because I think that's truly and very, very, very provably wrong. But the best argument you can maybe make is that the games might crash or something. There might be some incompatibilities. Not on every game, though. I mean, like, yeah, I had problems, hypothetically, allegedly, with Breath of the Wild, too. Like, in the final boss part, it kept crashing. Yakuza Dead Souls keeps fucking crashing on the PS3 emulator. This guy must hate Yakuza, by the way, because the Yakuza devs hate Nintendo, apparently. they've like decided that Yakuza is too mature for Nintendo baby consoles. They almost literally said that. So I guess this guy consequently must absolutely fucking... It's very silly that they said that about the Switch or whatever, but it's also... Because Yakuza would be great on the Switch. But it would also not surprise me if this guy has the exact opposite opinion, you know. Mirror reflection of that opinion. But, yeah, I mean... Shit. I don't know. Yeah, no, I mean... Emulation definitely is better for literally the game I just mentioned. Several games I just mentioned. The handheld ones that you can only play on a tiny little fucking handheld device that are a strain to play. Just holding onto this device and, like, it's miserable. Like, I wanted to play more of Strange Journey, too, but I don't want to play more of it on that fucking handheld, that's for damn sure. That thing is a fun gimmick to hold on to and play a little of a Mario game or something for a bit, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not 7 anymore. I can't do this. It's not comfortable, and I don't want to, and I have better options. So why wouldn't I? Yes, it's better. It's better. It's just better. There are massive RPGs that span a fucking tens of hours, hundreds of hours on the 3DS, on the DS, on all these handheld consoles. You want me to sit there playing it on this tiny little fucking 240p fucking resolution screen? You really? When I could just play it, not even upscaled, just at the regular resolution, but in a regular size window on my PC screen, with like another thing along the side of it, you know, like you already have the 3DS second screen below it, right? So just have like a picture-in-picture with fucking... You know, a YouTube video as well. Triple picture-in-picture, you know? 2 screens and a YouTube. It's perfect. You know? It's perfect. No, it's definitely better. Let alone for the Switch, where you have a game like, again, SMT5. Unplayable on the Switch. Not playable. Not fucking playable. It is trash. It is a horrible game on the Switch. Terrible frame rate. Fucking draw distance of like 5 feet in front of you. Resolution is terrible. It's awful. It's awful. It's unplayable on the Switch. It is like a PS2 game on the Switch. Dude, you can play it on the fucking upscale on Yuzu, and it looks great. And it runs great. And it's so much better. What do you mean it's not better? He's going to have to qualify significantly when he says emulation is not better. He just outright says it, right? So what's your argument then, dude? Go for it.
You know, buying and paying for the game legitly.
I'm sure glad your mommy gives you so much money to pay for all these things. That's such a privileged statement to make. That's such a fucking statement to make from a position of I have the money to buy every Nintendo game. Or mommy gives me money. I'm assuming it's that one. But then I would assume mommy would want to help fix his lazy eye first, or whatever's going on with his eye. Somebody earlier said he came so hard that the cum landed in his eye. You know, he was jerking off to the Pokemon Direct, and it landed in his eye. And so he's just been having some problems ever since. I believe that, potentially.
And that's been apparent to anybody who's looked into this stuff for a long time, but the narrative for the longest time from these people is that, like, oh, playing this game on Yuzu, it's superior. You know, completely ignore the visual bugs, completely ignore the crashes, the corrupted save files, the issues, all.
I mean, some of those are issues, but it's a kind of a lateral move, isn't it? When you're getting such an upgrade on performance and stuff, there might be some visual glitches and stuff. I don't really care about that personally. But then, like, I mean, you are getting a huge performance increase at the expense of maybe there will be some crashes and stuff here and there. I mean, but that's not even a problem with a lot of situations. I mean, is he talking about the, like, Citra? I'm sorry, he asked, I'm pause Andying it.
Like, I can, you know, do this, you know, like, it was all
good
just
example.
a smokescreen. It was all just an attempt to try and drive people into pirating Nintendo games, right? It was a
By
direct
who?
attack on the company's business,
Who?
on like their financial gains.
Is he making a statement that like some company is, or who? Like who is it that's behind this nefarious plot to undermine Nintendo? Who? Who would be doing that exactly? I don't understand who would be doing that.
It was it was the primary weapon being used against Nintendo in year 8, right? Like the Switch is 7 years old now. It's in the middle, it's beginning its 8th year, and this was going to be the method in which PlayStation and Xbox fans, and PC, I suppose, as niche and irrelevant as they are, like this was going to be the primary method that these communities would use to weaponize.
I feel like I guess PC fans, I don't know, I guess Sony fans are probably his biggest nemesis right now. But like PC fans are the ones with the emulators, so they're probably the most direct threat on Nintendo in that way. But obviously Sony is the other big console. And so like he's not even talking about like mobile games or anything here. It's so bizarre to have this like console war mindset that this guy's like trapped in too. This is such a fucking like 1990s, but like I don't know, early 2010s, late 2000, like this is a very dated mindset now where it's like I don't know, a lot of people are playing on fucking mobile phones and shit, and like that's not even a part of this conversation. I mean, it's not really the same old like 3-party fucking system that we used to have. It's a lot more independent these days, and Nintendo's there. They're kind of just doing their own thing. This is why it's so weird to have a guy like this now. I mean, I don't know, during the Wii U era, it might have made sense, but now it's like the Nintendo's doing its own fucking thing. It's not really competing with the PS5 or anything, or the Xbox, or PC. I guess, no, PC is his biggest rival right now. It should be. Because they've also got, like, the Steam Deck and all these other bootleg Steam Decks that are all basically PCs. So, yeah, the PC gamers should be they should be the ones that he's looking to for, like, the next shot across the bow on Nintendo. Because, like, Sony, they're not even really in fucking conflict with Sony. This is such a weird relic channel that feels like it comes from an era that's just non-existent anymore. Like, Nintendo is barely involved in this. The whole landscape of gaming has changed. I know people like this still exist, but it just fascinates me, because, like, I remember when this was at least more, I don't know, relevant. A lot of the stuff, like, I don't know, update your arguments, dude. Talk about mobile games. Bring that into it, That's a bigger deal than fucking PC gaming.
Against the Switch. How many times have we heard over the past couple of years, when it comes to Switch exclusives, how they did not matter?
I can't believe this stream went on as long as it has.
That, right? Like, how many times have we been told that? How many times have we been told that
Well, that's not an argument against Citra, dude.
everything would come to PC eventually? How long have we been told that there's nothing wrong with emulation and that there was no reason to use a gaming PC as your primary platform? Now, the reality is quite different.
I like the way Mario, when he wears the Mario hat, it fits him in a certain way where he, it's Mario, whatever. Whenever this guy is wearing the Mario hat and it makes him look like Doug Walker in Kick-Assia. It makes him look like he's wearing the M. Bison dictator uniform. Like he's delivering a speech to the Nintendo faithful. He's telling them all to drink the Kool-Aid so they'll kill themselves. Sorry, Flavor Aid.
Right. Plenty of high-profile games don't get PC releases. Just look at the aforementioned Unicorn Overlord. But when you see just how desperately the community has been to legitimize emulation, how much they've been trying to defend it, how much they've been promoting it when it comes to Nintendo consoles. Like, curiously, you don't see people like trying to preserve games on PlayStation or Xbox, probably because nobody wants to play them.
Well, that's a funny joke, and I don't want to play God of War much either, or Horizon, or Last of Us, or God. Are they making a sequel to Days Gone? That would be really funny. I want them to make a sequel to Days Gone. That would be great. Um, Not because it's good, but just because we need more games with white men protagonists. White men protagonists who want revenge because their girl got killed or something. I don't remember what that game was about, but I remember everybody was upset because people said it looked like super generic, and I guess that was like anti-white or something. I don't know. It seemed like a valid critique in more ways than one. But a lot of those games, including Days Gone, are on PC. Like God of War, Spider-Man, they're all on PC. They usually take a while, but they're gonna come to PC. Nintendo games never do. The reason Nintendo games, matter in terms of preserving them, is because Nintendo doesn't re-release a lot of them, or if they do, it's 10 years from now, or if they do, it's like that shitty Mario collection that had no effort put into it and was just like a garbage cash grab, like that, that kind of thing. I don't know. Preservation's important, especially when it was a 2-screen console with a touch screen and a 3D gimmick, and a lot of the games, in fact, almost every game on that console is specifically exclusive to that console. So, if you don't have a console that can run it or an emulator, you're probably never going to be able to play some of those and some of those versions. So yeah, that does matter. More so than, like, I don't know, PSP emulation, which, those games are all preserved. PS5 games aren't, but again, most of those are on PC or coming to PC. And the ones that aren't, well, that's a shame, but I don't know, you can't crack a PS5. People are probably working on it. They will once you can. What does he say? What does he mean? People don't care about emulation. God, he really looks like Chris Chan in this pause frame too. There's a certain Chris Chan-ness. It's this eye being so languid and sleepy, and this mouth being kind of like, kind of pensive. He looks like he's high. And then there's the glasses and everything. Yeah, I mean, people would fucking. I was just talking about PS3 emulation. They're doing what they fucking can. Nintendo just sucks, so they've made all their shit really easy to emulate, though.
But when it comes to Nintendo software, there is a legit arms race to get this stuff up and running as soon as
2 days,
possible.
2 gone.
It doesn't matter whether it takes 1, 2, 5, 10 years. These guys are always going to be claiming that their PC versions of these Nintendo games are better than the Nintendo ones, right? But now that's no longer a factor. Now we have a legit example of a high.
Well, it is still a factor. It's like, neener, my company stepped in, so your argument is irrelevant. That doesn't change the argument, dude. That doesn't change the fact that it's still better to play these games in an emulator. Most of the time. I mean, yeah, hypothetically, if you're playing one before release, it might have some visual bugs and shit. That's kind of to be expected, I guess. Also, hot take, Ryujinx is better. I've never really liked Yuzu all that much. It's kind of always been shit. I'm really more down with Ryujinx anyway. So, I mean, F for Citra, but I don't think I care that much super hard about Yuzu, honestly. But, yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely no longer an option. There's not 1 or 2 other popular Switch emulators out there, for sure. Yuzu's not still perfectly usable for a lot of games that have already come out.
File emulator, the biggest in the scene, the one behind 3DS and Switch emulation being taken out in a matter of weeks, right? We have a bit more precedent for Nintendo going after emulation, for going after piracy. Now, for anyone who isn't a complete
God, someone points out, oh, these are all good pause frames. I love it. Give him the suck. Someone points out how in 2007, the super cool Sony fanboys claimed that the PS3 could never be pirated and hacked because of the power of the cell. Because the PS3 had a stupid fucking architecture that was built around this dumbass fucking processor thing that was called the cell. It was basically that decade's Sega Saturn, but it had a better fate ultimately than the Sega Saturn. Where it was like everybody that ever made a game with it didn't know how to make a fucking game with it, and didn't know how to utilize the cell properly. And yet there were all these fucking people that wouldn't shut up about how the cell technology has infinite power. You don't understand. The infinite power of the cell technology will make every game possible. You know, it's funny, I've actually been thinking about that a lot recently. When they announced the PS3, when they were, like, gearing that up, I don't know if it was when they announced it, but, like, around that time, they had this technical demo thing for the PS3 that showed off the power of the cell and everything. And it was a recreation of the intro of FF7, down to the part where it, like, zooms in on Cloud when he jumps off the train. So it's the whole city pan around Aerith with the flower, Loveless, the street, and everything. And it looked pretty cool, you know, for the time. And everybody was like, where's the full game, Square? And now I've just been thinking about that a lot as I've been playing Rebirth. For some reason, I've just been like, man, imagine if this fucking came out in, like, 2007. Imagine if the FF7 remake came out around the same time that, like, 13 was coming out. And it was just a series of hallways, and it was all Advent Children style all the time. Everybody would be edgy as hell. They would have completely missed the point. I would have super been one of those people who would have said they missed the point and it was a soulless cash grab remake. It's really a good thing they waited.
A complete retard, right?
Oh yeah, blast processing, yeah.
This outcome was obvious, right? Even people who were shilling for Yuzu, people like Mutahar,
users,
like they knew what was going to happen. They knew there was no justification for emulation. They knew there was no legal support for it. They knew what they were doing was illegal, but they didn't care, right? Because so much of their business, so much of their channel.
Does he think Mutahar is like sending flying monkeys to? I don't even. It's not even. It's weird. It's like a second-person video.
There's a moment in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, by the way, where it's a second-person moment in the game. I just thought I'd point that out. There's a part where you're looking through someone's eyes, but you're playing as another character. It's very cool. It's just like one brief moment. I just really liked it. I thought it was cool. But, this is like second-person trolled, like troll video or something, where like he's complaining about. It's not that he's complaining about him getting trolled by angry trolls who are sent here by people. It's that he's complaining that emulation is being trolled, or Nintendo is being trolled by emulators. He's doing like a Chris Chan video, but instead of him as the victim and the subject, Nintendo is the subject. And the victim, and it's Mutahar and emulator fans that are the bad guys. They're the blue spike in this scenario,
right? So much of their channel growth, it is
angry on behalf of Nintendo
on piracy. It is reliant entirely on doing things that like no legit video game journalist would do, and in this case, it is promoting piracy. It is promoting emulation. It is promoting mods.
Yeah, somebody points out Muta. I mean, he at least claims that he dumps his own games. And I'm actually part of the club now of people that can legally claim that I'm emulating a game legally. Because I own a PS2 and a legal owned copy of Yakuza 2 on disc. And I played it that way the first time. And it was fun. And now I'm playing it on PC SX2 with like some minor, nothing crazy, but just like some in emulator upgrades. I've got it running at a slightly higher resolution. It's finicky because the game's got some weird blur on it, so you have to have it at like just a bit higher. It can't go 4K or it looks weird. you gotta go to like, I don't know, like 10, like 1.7 times the resolution or something. It's a little finicky, but you know, I got it looking a little better, and it's widescreen and everything, and it is nice. Like I can say I own fucking Yakuza 2, and I would rather emulate it. I legally own it. I own the copy, and I've played it and finished it, and I would rather emulate it. I would much rather emulate it at this point in time. It's nice that I own it, and I'm happy to have played it that way, but I would certainly rather emulate it now. There are moments where you have to run through the city and avoid police officers, and because the camera is in fixed angles, it will switch to another fixed camera angle, and you'll immediately walk into a police officer, and you'll fail the mission. And I'm like, you know what? I'm really happy I have save states for my second playthrough of Yakuza 2. I'm really enjoying that. Really enjoying not having to just, like go back to the fucking, like, load screen menu or whatever, retry. Just one click, one button, boom, bing, bang, boom, right back to it. Restart. Let's try again. Real simple. Real simple. Loving it. It's great.
It is promoting not supporting Nintendo hardware. It is pretending that Nintendo is an anti-consumer company.
Oh yeah, I can also speed up Yakuza 2. That's another underrated thing. Sad thing about Persona 3 Reload. When I was playing the original, I was really enjoying being able to speed it up to like double speed. Not so fast that it was uncontrollable or anything, but just fast enough that it moved me along through Tartarus a little faster. And I can't do that in Reload. That's why I was talking shit about FF12 earlier. Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age or whatever, the upgraded version, is the fucking hypest shit in the world because they have a speed up game button. They just have a button that just speeds the whole game up, and it's so great. It's the best feature ever. Every game should have a button that just makes you walk through the fucking map faster. Cause, like, I get it, it's not realistic for me to move at turbo speed, Sonic speed, but I don't care. I don't want to walk through this map. I've already killed everything, and I'm just looking for, like, a key or something. Just zoom me around at double speed, please. Thank God. Thank you, God.
Preventing
Emulation's so good. I love emulation. You don't need it for the Zodiac Age, necessarily. That one's got the speed up game button. But for every other game that doesn't have a speed up game button and would be fucking improved by that, emulation's great.
piracy, right? That is something you're seeing right now, is that people are going out there.
Oh God, okay, I'm sorry to keep pause-andying. I'm sorry. We'll get back to his point. I'll let him talk for at least 10 seconds and not pause. But actually, I will point out, speaking of pausing and speaking of speeding up emulation, there is a couple of games that I like exclusively because I played them on emulators and I never had the unfortunate luck of playing them on a real console. And they are the Game Boy Advance Sims games. Really fun games, except they're only really that fun when you play them on an emulator. When you can turbo speed through all of the times that you're just sitting there fucking waiting for a skill to improve, or standing around waiting for a shop to open, or whatever. There's a lot of waiting that's just like a horrible waste of time. And when I first played those, they were on emulator. So I just naturally was like, oh, this is stupid. I'll just speed through this. Oh, I have to get around town really, really quick. Oh, I'll just turbo speed through that. And so then I go and try and play them on a real fucking system, and it's like a horrible slog. I'm like, Jesus Christ. This is only playable on an emulator. You can only play it on an emulator. That's the only way.
Something you're seeing right now is that people are going out there trying to convince you that somehow taking down the Yuzu emulator is anti-consumer.
This user. I'm sorry, I paused Andy again.
Right. That is the
anti-consumer
that's been thrown around about Nintendo in recent years, but the reality is Nintendo's always been the most pro-consumer company. And
oh my God, no, it's not that they're pro-consumer, it's that they're really bad at being anti-consumer. They're not as good at being anti-consumer as EA or someone. They're always trailing behind, but they'll do all of the things, dude. They'll do all of the things. They'll do all the same things. They'll do paid DLC. They'll do microtransaction phone games. They'll do all of that. They'll do shit. Nintendo's thing, though, is they'll do shit that nobody else has ever tried. They'll do weird shit, like timed games that are, like, not timed for any good reason. Like, it's not like it's a Sega Sonic whatever Olympic game. It's like, just, hey, you can only buy this Mario for a month. Fuck you. Fuck you. Eat some shit. Why don't you just die? Why don't you just fucking die, cunt? Fuck you. Buy the game. Eat our dicks. Just eat our dicks. Just go. Just get on your hands and knees and just eat our dicks a little bit. Fuck you, bitch. That's Nintendo. That's Nintendo making that Mario collection. You know? There's stuff like that. There's stuff... And then there's the weird stuff that Nintendo does that's not even fucking... Really... It doesn't even really do anything. I'm sure he has videos about all of the times where, like, Smash tournaments got canceled because Nintendo just got weird and petty and bizarre. And, like, this guy will turn that into, of course, Nintendo had to do it to protect their fucking franchise from people eating food or something, or whatever. It was the one thing, you're not allowed to feed people at Smash Brothers events or something like that. Like, oh god, how dare people eat a hot dog around Mario? Oh my god. No, Mario might be offended. You might piss off the ice climbers if you eat chili. The weird shit that's just petty, that has, like, that's not even really, like, at least in this case, it's like, okay, yeah, again, people are, like, playing Zelda games before they're released. Alright, fine. If they can find a reason to make the fun party, this gravy train come to an end, I guess I can fucking see why. Right? I'm not gonna complain too hard. Yeah, it should be legal, but, like, let's be real, that's probably been too good for too long. Let's be fucking real here. And it's gonna continue being that way because Ryujinx is still fine at this point in time. But yeah, no, I mean, if they came down on Ryujinx too, it's like, all right, fine, yeah, like, I wish it wouldn't be that way, but fucking I can't complain. But we're talking about Citra. We're talking about a console that's dead. They're not making more 3DS games. You're an idiot. You're a stupid idiot.
That's always been obvious for people, actual enthusiasts, right? Like, you don't see microtransactions, you don't see loot boxes.
Yeah, Nintendo is super fucking consumer friendly. You don't see loot boxes in Nintendo. No, because they do other wacky shit, dude.
You don't see any of the other
What about the existence of Pokemon proves otherwise, sir.
Practices that have been permeating the rest of the industry. Like, you don't even have a partnership with Sweet Baby Incorporated. Right?
What? So is he woke? Is that a joke? My mind is broke. I'm gonna have a toke. This guy's blowing smoke.
They're not Valve, okay? Meanwhile, you have people, like, bending over backwards to worship, like, essentially every other company in existence. Blizzard, Valve, Bethesda, Obsidian.
This guy really does view it as a war. He said, like, warship, didn't he? Like, it's a war for him. I mean, it is a literal console war to him.
Larian, FromSlop, right? All these companies that just get endlessly worshipped, right? Just compare, like, how Elden Ring was.
Sweet Baby Inc. He said that without any humor, though. Like, he wasn't saying that as a joke. I've never heard of Sweet Baby Inc. before they entered the mainstream recently, or mainstream, whatever. Before there'd been some controversy with them recently, I guess. They're, like, trying to take away some guy's Steam account because he said a bad word, or so. I don't know what he did. But apparently he can't own Steam games anymore. That's how bad it is. Got another great pause frame. Jesus Christ. They're effortless with this guy. I mean, like, this is nothing special in terms of pause frames, but they're all special. That's the point. They're all fantastic. But Jesus Christ, man. I mean,
That just get endlessly worshipped, right? Just
yeah.
compare like how Elden Ring.
The Elden Ring. We're talking about Elden Ring. Did FromSlop have Sweet Baby? He must be trolling, I guess, but it is a situation where I hope he knows that if he's trolling, I hope he still wakes up in the morning and feels sad about himself. The same way that he would if he wasn't trolling, you know? Like, he definitely does that. He wakes up in the morning and he's like, why should I get out of bed today? Oh, I guess I have some more coins to collect in Mario. You know? But, like, if this is all just a jape, it's still pretty pathetic. I guess he's trolling people, but I don't know, you're just who are you really trolling? I mean, you're just acting like a moron. It's like really low-hanging fucking fruit, like low bar to troll people now. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, I guess if this guy turns out to be a troll, tomorrow he comes out, he's like, haha, I got you all. But he's been doing this for years, so it won't happen. He's got framed shit on his wall, so it won't happen. But if he did, like, I guess I would feel like, I guess he got me. But I would also just be like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of people who are just like this. I guess it's not wacky enough to be a parody. He's mentioning Sweet Baby, though. Like, it feels like he's just trying to get attention. He must be trolling.
Was treated compared to Tears of the Kingdom, right?
Definitely a
Elden
V
Ring
troll.
fans, they did not openly advocate.
He talks like how V posts read. But okay, another great, But, like, a lot of people are just like that, though. Like, you're so quick to assume it's a troll. Those people are real people. Those people have real lives. And who's to say one of them doesn't have a YouTube channel? Right? I mean, like, who's to say? He's not, like, I don't think he's, like, he's not, like, a name friend on V or a trip friend or anything. I don't think. So, like, he's probably not just trying to get attention in that way. He's probably just an anon. So, I mean, I don't know if he's, like, a V troll in that sense. Maybe, but it's so tame. I mean, we see these people, like, remember the guy we looked at? It was an interesting channel. He had this video where he was complaining about, modern video games. He's tired of wokeness, blah, blah, blah. And it was this guy who had this, like, disenfranchised Mario as an avatar. It was this really sad, dejected Mario. And it was called, I think his channel was called Disillusioned Gamer. And it was this video. It was like 10 minutes or whatever. It felt longer than it was. But it was a video. It was not that long, but it was just him going over a bunch of shit. And it was just a bunch of shit that's happened in, like, the last decade. Vaguely related shit. It was kind of related to, like, wokeness, kind of tangentially, like, you could all sort of connect things together a little bit, but it was also, a lot of things were minor talking points from, like, a decade ago. And at the end of it, it was like, is this guy just trolling? This is, like, the worst fucking bait we've ever fucking seen. But if it is, I don't know. It's like a low-hanging fruit. It's like, yeah, you can just say dumb things, and I guess I guess that's trolling. I guess it's kind of. I mean, I guess, but I don't know. It feels like it should. It feels like this is just something that somebody could just believe. I don't know.
Pirating.
So,
Elden Ring,
anyways,
the way that, like,
can't pirate Elden
emulation
Ring.
enthusiasts were shilling for Tears of the Kingdom to be emulated, right? Like, it was not that prominent, and a big reason for
Too
that is,
mundane,
like, Elden Ring
that's
is
what I'm
simply
saying.
not as popular as Zelda. It never will be, but at the same time, there was.
So by the way, it's worth pointing out that we said before that it looked like it was a Mario hat and a trench coat. As far as I can tell, it is not. It is in fact a Mario hat and, like, a Tunnel Snakes rule leather jacket. Shit, that's not a reference this guy would get. It's a potential Mario alternate outfit where he wears a leather jacket. I don't fucking know, cunt. Not a trench coat, sadly. I really thought he was going for, Dylan and Eric with a Mario hat, but unlucky.
It was a coordinated attempt
Angry Joe jacket, Dark
try
Wario, right?
and mitigate the success of this game, right? We
It's
we saw
midnight.
this last
Hey,
year with people saying it was the same thing all over again, that it wasn't that popular, that it wasn't talked about, that it wasn't going to sell that well, that it hasn't sold all that well, that 20 million units somehow is a bomb in the eyes of the community, right? We saw these people like come out and just try their hardest to downplay Tears of the Kingdom.
wait, 20 million units for. Oh, there's another good one. He's about to say the N word. 20 million units for Tears of the King. I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know if people. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are. People tried to bitch about the. Apparently, the numbers for FF16 were bad, but they were like, I don't know, fucking billion people bought it or something. Like, it's some ridiculous number, but apparently it wasn't enough. So I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe it might have sold under expectations, potentially.
And emulation absolutely was a part of that, right? Like, that was a major cornerstone of their argument. It was that, like, oh, you can just emulate this on PC and have a better experience. Like, this, Nintendo needs to put out new hardware now, right? Like, it was just an attempt.
What's your point? Yeah, their hardware is really bad. You can play better versions of their games on your PC. What's your point? They should make another console, probably, that's got better hardware. Yeah. Why? What? Maybe instead of doing this, they should work on that shit.
Like everything else, to keep the discussion around Nintendo, software and hardware negative, right? And now that is no longer a fact.
No, the software is being talked about positively. It's, hey, I want to play these games that are good in like a good frame rate and resolution and like a proper video game and not like a Fisher Price toy. The software is fun. Nobody has a problem with Zelda. I mean, some people do, but that's not relevant really. The game's pretty good, and it would be a lot better if I could play it on my PS5. I'm just gonna be honest. I know that would never happen, but like, man, like a graphics mode, fucking, I'll take the 30. It's not like the original fucking Switch version runs better than that, right? The fucking Switch game runs at like 20 FPS some of the time. So, I'll take the PS5 30 FPS mode instead of the 60 FPS performance mode, when the PS5 port comes out, right? Like, and it'll be great. It would be phenomenal. But no, we have to play it on the fucking, yeah, you have to play it on the God, what are they called? You gotta play it on the Etch-a-Sketch. I was gonna say Scratch and Sniff. That's not the same thing. That's a different thing.
Factor. Now, Nintendo has taken an epic W.
Tears of the Findom.
And is well
I
on
like
their
that.
way to establishing a Nintendo monopoly in this industry, right? They were already going.
Do you really believe he really does? I think he might. I mean, I think some of this might be real. Like, I think that this might be like slightly played up. Maybe even not slightly. But I think a good amount of this is real. And I don't know, like Nintendo monopoly on the industry. In what way? The Switch is not really selling fucking hot anymore. Nobody really cares. There was just a Zelda game that didn't push units. Everything that people are talking about is on other consoles. What are you even talking about, dude? Come on. What are you fucking talking about, dude?
to do that. I would argue they already have done that. But right now we're seeing a lot of coping and seething from people who are vehemently anti-Nintendo. Like, oh, the mobile gacha games make more money. Oh, PC gaming is becoming more and more popular. Emulation. Like, you have all these people.
Hang on, let me make this video the way that he makes the video. Just imagine I'm waving my arms around and kind of cringing a little between my hands while I do it. Hands, I say. Hook counts as a hand. It's a hook hand. Oh, I can play SMT5 with the proper resolution. Oh, look at me. I can play fucking Fire Emblem Awakening without having to get eye strain and fucking carpal tunnel. Oh, la-di-da. There you go. There you go. I helped out your video, bro. I gave you some extra arguments. There you go. I'm really making your case better for you.
Shilling all these weird proprietary products, Steam Deck. Remember when Review Tech US...
Hey there, emulators! I can play games better than the other version of the games. Derp-a-der. I'm objectively superior in most ways. Derp-a-der.
They released that video.
It really do be like that. Stupid emulator people. You're right.
Like, claiming that the Steam Deck would be bigger than the iPhone, right? It's the most important product since the iPhone, right? Like, oh, the Steam Deck is gonna take it. You seriously had people
happened?
like trying to tell you that the Steam Deck was successful, the PlayStation Portal was successful. That like,
I don't think anybody's gonna fucking argue about the PlayStation Portal. The Steam Deck. Well, that's one of them luxury products that people don't buy unless they have two houses. The Steam Deck is, it's not that expensive. It's not like a Steam Index or whatever the fuck. But, it's pretty pricey. It's pretty expensive,
that
price maxing.
That emulation is successful, right? That it's legal, really.
Uh-huh.
You have all these people, just shilling any and all alternative products simply to ignore the reality that Nintendo's are the most viable, right? They're the most affordable, they're the ones that are most fun to play, they're the ones with the best software, and that's not going to change anytime soon, right? Again, the whole emulation thing, the reason for it was because it was being commonly accepted by the community that Nintendo put out the best software. And the emulation narrative, that was simply an attempt at mitigating it.
Commonly accepted by the community? Why are you so... I will say it's still pathetic if he's trolling, but I really do hope he's trolling. That is the superior outcome. There is no question. Because it is just... I've seen a lot of people who are pathetic, dude, on my streams, but this is up there in a weird way. It's so strange to say that if this is real. This is so pathetic in a way, and I've seen people with diaper fetishes, baby molesters, and fucking Mama Max, and all sorts of crazy fucking people. There's pet rapists, there's fucking people who, I don't know, there's people who really insert political candidate here. There's all sorts of wacky people that I fucking looked at. There's the Fox and Falco macro guy. The Star Fox poster on your wall back there. It's got me thinking of that. All sorts of wacky people. And I've looked at a lot, but this is pathetic. Maybe not more so than others, but in a very special way, I think it's specially pathetic. If this is a real video. That's not meant just to troll people. It's if this is more than 50% genuine opinion, this is a really it's so uniquely pathetic in this you're a useful idiot, you're a corporate tool. You're just a corporate fucking tool. You're a stooge. You don't get paid for this. They pay you nothing. You pay them to just be super defensive and pathetic and weak-minded about Nintendo. And just people are emulating Nintendo games. It must be because they're the best! No, it's because people want to fucking emulate games, generally. Nintendo has bad fucking security most of the time. Yeah, their games are also good, but like that's not the reason. But he has to make it into any opportunity he can. His brain turns it into something to defend the brand. This is so pathetic. This is so pathetic. You are a human billboard. This is fucking miserable. This is gonna make me a communist. This is watching this shit. Watching this fucking human corporate advertisement for a company. Just like just explaining away every evil thing that they do, cause guys, but Mario. Jesus Christ, holy shit. This is especially pathetic. In a way that, like, okay, pedophiles and stuff, sure. They're pathetic in the usual way. This is like a really unique, special kind of pathetic, though, right? Like this is extra. It's not more pathetic, but it's differently pathetic, differently abled.
That was an attempt at trying to convince people that, like, oh, you don't need that inferior Nintendo hardware to play Nintendo games. You can just do it on your PC. Completely ignoring the fact that's illegal.
No, that's
right?
true. The
Trying
jacket
to
is
downplay
epic.
The fact that it's illegal, right? That is the current situation, right?
Well, emulation itself is not illegal, sir. I still don't believe it is. I think somebody said this was a settlement situation, so it's still not even like they, won a court case or anything, really.
Nintendo has made an epic move against Yuzu, something that people genuinely believed would not happen. And I do think I want to leave off on the fact that this isn't going to be the only situation in which this happens, right? One of the biggest situations, one of the biggest narratives that have propped up this year in regards to the Power World thing, people legit are coming out saying that, like, oh, if Nintendo has a problem with Power World, if it actually plagiarized Pokemon, why don't they just file a lawsuit? It would have happened already. Yuzu has been pirating games for like years and years, right? Nintendo is building.
So they're gonna file a lawsuit on Pal World 5. That's what you're telling me. Okay. Well, I guess I'll wait for that then. You'd think that they fucking would have by now, because again, they're like taking legal action against people making mods to add Pokemon into the game. I think they're pretty fucking closely watching it, If they could, they would. Dude, they would. They really truly would. And the reason they did with Yuzu is because they probably fucking could, finally. So that they haven't with Pal World means they can't at this point. Sometime eventually they might, I guess, but seems unlikely.
A case against them, right? They're building an ironclad case that cannot be disputed by the lawyers, right? They're building.
Yuzu got taken down because of prod keys. Yeah, that's always been the annoying thing about running fucking games on. Fucking Switch games are always just a pain because, the prod key is wrong. Get a new prod key. I don't know, a prod key up your ass. Fuck off.
They're getting a case together. They're getting their evidence. They're getting they're documenting exactly what Power World did, what Pocket Pair did, what Microsoft, Xbox, what the YouTube shows did. So the problem here is that, again, we're at the end of the video. He's mostly not mentioned Citra. He's mentioned it a little bit. Hang on, sorry. The good face. He's mentioned it a little bit, in passing as like also a casualty of war or whatever, But he's not really talked about that or focused on it all that much. Like, yeah, Yuzu's his best argument, I guess. But, even then, it's not a great one, and Citra is a much weaker one for him. Much weaker leg to stand on, talking about the system that most of its games are exclusive to that system, no longer being supported for emulation by the main emulator. That one, it's
If he brought that one up more often, I think it would be harder for people to stand by him on this. When you start asking questions about, cause yeah, if you just bring up Yuzu and oh yeah, you could play Zelda before it came out, it's crazy. Okay, sure, you might get, if people don't know, they might be convinced. You bring up the 3DS and then people start going oh, and they don't even sell 3DS games anymore? Oh, weird. And you mean I can't pirate the... Oh, well, I'm just gonna pirate those, thank you, but no, I'm just gonna pirate them anyway. Thank you for warning me off, but I'm going to.
Going after them, right? The process has clearly started.
The great thing, too, is that I'm pretty sure Yuzu and Citra are open source. I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure. So, people could reasonably just take the fucking, source code and just make a new one, right? Just make it, Bitra. And now now it's the new Citra. Totally legally distinct. It has slightly different code. There's, comments all throughout it that say this user. And so it's legally distinct Citra. It's not the same. Not at all. Not at all. It's called Bitra now. You know, because it's open source. You could do that, right? I think you could.
Right. But
Pazuzu, that's right.
Much like
yeah,
what
Nuzu.
Happened, the lawsuit is going to be swift. It's going to be effective. It's going to be taken out in very short order once it's actually served, right? That is my belief, right? And I'm sure there are...
If somebody in chat is an emulation fucking programmer or something, it is within your power. I want you to know. It's within the people in chat right now's power to name the new branch of Yuzu that it gets created, after all of this, the open source. I think it's open source. I might be wrong, but if it is, you could hypothetically call it this Yuzu and make it, real special. Make it special for us. Make it tasty, Seymour. You could. I'm sure nobody in chat has that ability, but man, if you know a guy who knows a guy, just be like, hey, if they need a title for it, I'm just saying, or even just this user, it could still be YUZER, perfect. It's perfect.
Other examples of other people that are trying to mess with Nintendo and their properties.
Tuzu.
I never even heard of Gary Bowser when he was arrested. I never even heard of that. But it's becoming more and more common that these people that the emulation community is relying on to shield their products, to keep themselves relevant, to keep the narrative going, to keep Nintendo games off of Nintendo hardware. These guys are slowly but surely getting taken out. And more, it's becoming apparent that it's happening more often, right? There is simply nothing the community can do
And he hasn't had any real, arguments in favor of the Switch, There's been nothing here that's felt like it's been... Well, here's why you should play it on the Switch. Not just, legally, yada yada, whatever. I don't give a shit about, morally, you gotta buy Mario 59. They're not gonna make another one. If you don't buy it, fuck you. Shut up. Morally, no, fuck off. But, in terms of practical reasoning or whatever, because that's what the fucking emulation has, is it's practically better and it's objectively better in most ways. Sure, yeah, there's some crashes and stuff. Okay, that can happen. Not every time, not every game, and a lot of times it can be fixed. But he hasn't given any practical reasoning why the fucking Switch is a better way to play this stuff. I guess it's portable. Well, play it on a fucking Steam Deck then, It's portable, though. I guess that's fine. Sure, I like being able to play my Switch in my bed. That's nice. That's a nice feature it has. Except I also have a laptop in my bed. So, there is that. But I do like being able to play it in my bed. I like the portability. That's fine. That's fair. But, I mean, other than the portability angle of the Switch, I don't know, man. other than that, it's like if I don't want to play it portable, and specifically in the case of some games I do not, like again, a fucking 100-hour RPG, like a Shin Megami Tensei game or a Fire Emblem game, I don't really want to play on a 3DS, which is less ergonomic than the Switch even. So like I would rather play like, you know, the 3DS, the Switch is the better case in that scenario, but if that's the only thing that it has is portability, I mean, other than that, what other fucking, maybe like an online mode or something. He has no argument. I mean, there just isn't one. There literally just isn't one against emulation other than, but it's wrong, which is like just fucking stupid single brain cell cope, really. I mean, the guy's a V user, I would assume. So I have to assume, like, I have to revert to my classic V argument whenever piracy was brought up, which is like, okay, if you go to a store and you steal a ham, then that store no longer has the ham. They are down one ham. They've lost a ham. And you've gained a ham. You have gained at their loss. At the expense of their loss. If you pirate a copy, if you steal a copy, quote unquote, if you pirate a copy of, you know, Mario whatever, then I just wasn't gonna buy it anyway, right? Like, and then you got cases like SMT5, like I mentioned, where I specifically didn't buy it because it runs like shit and is ugly on the Switch, and I was waiting for a version that's playable like the one that's coming out in a few months. You know, I'm waiting for that to happen, and then I'll play it. You know, like I'll buy it then. But I was pirating it because I didn't want to play the inferior version. Right? So, I mean, like, outside of just moral arguments, bullshit about like that, like, yeah, if I download a copy, it's not replacing anything. It's not stealing a ham from Nintendo. It's just giving me something that I otherwise wouldn't have purchased. This is not a new argument. People are going to be like, wow, original take. But this is the argument I would have used in my 14 years ago arguments with this guy on 4chan, where I would have been lobbing insults back and forth because I would have been anti-Nintendo at the time and he would have been pro-Nintendo at the time. And I'm not anti-Nintendo now, I just don't think they're amazing. I don't think they're perfect. They got a lot of problems. I like a lot of their games, though. But, you know, 14 years ago on V in 2010, I would have been saying that same thing about, yeah, you can fucking steal a ham from a supermarket and it is directly cutting into their stock of hams. They bought that ham, they're now down one ham. They've got to compensate the money for that ham, whatever. You know, the cost of the theft, whatever. Maybe they got to hire a guy to beef up security. They got to hire one of those fucking people to walk around the store with an empty cart to just stare at you if you look suspicious. I've had that a few times. There's a guy. It's great when I can suss him out immediately. There was a guy I've been to the store like twice, and it's been like 4 months apart. But I go there the second time and I see the same guy and he's like following me around and I'm like, buddy, dude, you're really bad at this. You need to like at least put some things in your basket, dude. Stop following me to every aisle. Come on, man. Like, they gotta hire that person because somebody stole a ham. But Nintendo, they don't gotta worry about nobody stealing no hams. Maybe with Breath of the Wild 2. But like, okay, you know, the average fucking game, no, they don't really gotta worry about it. The average piracy case, you don't gotta worry. I wouldn't have bought it. In the case of Baldur's Gate 3, for instance, I pirated it. I played 200 hours, and then I decided, you know what? I want to get the update that's on Steam and is not, like, cracked currently. At the time it wasn't. I think it is now, but I wanted the update that gave you, like, extra ending bullshit and stuff so that I could finish the game and get all of that going on. And I got that, and I bought the game. And I bought it because I pirated it. So that's another classic 2010 argument that I would have used. Well, I wouldn't have, because I wouldn't have bought a game specifically at that point, but that would have been one of those arguments back in the day. And now, here I am in 2024, 10 years after Gamergate made Cyberpunk happen or something, and also Suicide Squad came out. And he's got bad opinions, and I'm still superior and better than him.
Stop what's coming.
Infamously, I've mentioned this on stream. One of my favorite moments on 4chan. My favorite moment ever was a really fun Canadian nostalgia night. It was just this long thread that went all night on V. For some reason, it was on V, even though it was about cartoons and shit. But it was about Canadian nostalgia, and it was about like fucking old commercials and old cartoons and stuff. I had a great time. It was a wonderful thread, life changing, beautiful. The other best time, though, was when I completely rudely took over a thread that was just innocently trying to talk about Diddy Kong Racing, and I named myself Better Than You. No, Smarter Than You. And I started like doing a stupid avatar thing. I forget what it was an avatar of. But I just like was being all like, this game is for babies who haven't figured out how to move their thumbs yet. You know, just like this kind of like really flippant bullshit. And I did. I successfully ruined that thread that was just innocently trying to discuss a video game that's pretty good. It's a good video game, actually. I've always felt bad about that, but also I miss that. That was a good moment in time. I got to do that again sometime. I wonder if that would still be effective. That has to still be effective. You know, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that sometime. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be I'm gonna put on some music. I'm gonna make a whole time of it. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Emulation.
I'm gonna call myself Smarter Than You and
Not
everything.
just piracy is going to be made completely and utterly illegal, and there is nothing you can do to stop it.
Well, you're evil if you want that, sir. You're just frankly kind of evil. You want me to not be able to do things that I should be able to do. You want me to not have freedoms that I have currently because you're a baby. That's literally the reason. You're like a... And the thing is, too, I know with someone like this, I know that he knows that, too. He knows. He wakes up every day and he thinks about what a man baby he is and how sad he is. I know. I can tell. And maybe that's the licking the window of self-awareness a little bit. We weren't doing bingo tonight, but man, maybe we should have. You know what? That's the end of this video. And I'm gonna call it here. We're gonna read a few super chats, but I am gonna do a quick bingo for this guy. I just want to see if we get a bingo just for what we've seen from this guy here. Let's see if we get a bingo. Let me see. You can all make your own bingos if you wish. But here, we're just going to be playing a little bit of Yakuza over here. This user. No loud intro. There's drama. Suicide Squad came up. Trying hard to be cool, the leather jacket. Let's see. Swears too much. Not really. Apology video, not that we saw. No human voice. We're not gonna get one. What a shame. It's not gonna happen, guys. No unnaturally long pauses. No mouth noises. No. Mom's basement, sure. No, not gonna happen. What a shame. Could be a good guy for future bingos though. That guy, it seems promising. I could have got a better bingo. Maybe had a shot at that one. But that was a fun, terrible video. Wow, that was like 4 hours of watching that fucking guy. Jesus Christ. 3 hours ago, Liquid Dinosaur says, Sleepy here.